granddad.
Oh, hello there. Welcome to Die Rolling. We are down one member this evening, and we're back to 5. So
Is that what it is?
The second best member.
The second best member voted for by you, the fans. Please don't vote, because it would lead to a lot of emotional problems.
Biting,
Yeah.
punching.
I'd rather you didn't do that, but what you do in your own time.
Yeah, I'm on the edge already.
I'm so glad I'm not a player character, and thus I'm void from the vote.
You think?
I think. But you can vote who's the best dungeon master between the two, as that would be very awkward.
Which one of us is the dad?
Yeah.
We need to know that.
Yeah.
I think that's already been decided.
I am drinking kombucha this evening.
Yes.
And
Why are you drinking kombucha, Jack? That's something you should always ask
Is it
yourself.
alcoholic
no,
kombucha?
it's not.
I always pronounced it kombucha.
But it's the first can of kombucha I've ever had.
Yeah.
And my review is it's okay.
I've got to admit that as hippy dippy shit goes, it's not as awful as some of the stuff that I've ever had.
That you can use that.
That's
remedy,
the slogan.
that you can use that on your can.
Yeah. Are we being sponsored by Remedy Kombucha?
Well, with taglines like that, soon we will.
Mushroom tea that's good to drinky.
Roll the credits.
Hello, boys. Pink lemonade?
Mom!
Living in a box. Yeah. I'm living in a car.
It wasn't my era. I don't like it. I spat everywhere. My body is uncontrollable.
And that's the slogan of Die Rolling. Welcome back, everybody. You may remember our intrepid adventurers have been climbing up what can only be described as a tower. Through various trapdoors, they've made it through several floors already. And they find themselves in what can kind of be described as a study. And in there is a large tank that's cylinder-shaped. There's a slight crack in it, if you want to know why. Watch last week's episode. And in there is a lot of ochre-coloured gas and a face, which is has tendrils attached to the front and some kind of hand with suckers that's only 3-fingered. That's all the party have seen that they've had interaction with. Immediately, something fairly disturbing happens. That fairly disturbing thing is Caston, who should be stood with you, but is not. A cage forms around Caston. Very quickly, it almost cracks into place, and you have almost a box with the top, and immediately shoots through the floor.
To the sound of distant swearing.
To the sound of distant swearing and rattling of cages. And then, immediately afterwards, another cage emerges from the floor, and in it is Phineas, who has no real clue where he is or what's going on, to which the cage falls open and then disappears into spectral light.
Well, that was weird. That was very weird. Who's that? Where's the other little guy? What's going on?
I'm over
Are those
here.
my legs?
I'm over here.
Are you
No,
okay?
the other little guy. Yeah, it's kind of. Last time I saw you, we were outside. Or coming in. It all goes a bit hazy.
You remember anything?
Being in a box.
Let's just say that's not the weirdest thing we've seen all week.
Alright.
Is it exactly the same cage as the cage?
Exactly the same.
How did we open that one? Caston.
Oh, it's fallen open.
Oh, it has
As it
fallen,
entered the
apologies,
room,
yeah.
it fell open and then disappeared into spectral.
I was in a box. Box is gone. Not in a box anymore.
You'll remember a sudden moving feeling as you shot up from the floor.
I feel very moved.
You didn't make contact with any of the floors. You seemed to pass straight through them.
Hey, Elantrix, what did your spell say?
We shouldn't open.
What a surprise! That's funny, isn't it? You had to spend 25 GPs worth of crap to get all the knowledge that's in this little brain.
What's the thing in the jar?
Oh, I just think it's pretty much like evil incarnate.
I do not know.
You know,
Okay. So
ominous.
we're going to leave it alone or kill it or something?
Ask Elantrix. She's the one who's gone crazy recently.
It seems to retract further into the cylinder. You'll remember there's this big kind of curved desk next to it, which seems to retract into the cylinder a little bit more. It was touching the glass, if you remember, but it seems to have retracted a little bit. You can vaguely make out tendrils floating kind of head height somewhere in there, and the occasional other appendage kind of moving somewhere in there. But other than that, it's fallen fairly silent.
The dude that owns this place, the Duke, he apparently went up the tower and he's not come back down.
Up the tower?
Yeah,
There's more up?
yeah.
Okay.
Apparently there's some real heebie-jeebies up there, and a showy lens. If you ever heard of a showy lens.
I have not.
Yeah, apparently it's bad. So, we're going in the right direction.
We're going towards the bat.
It's what we do, we're heroes.
Okay.
At least, old Felix finally is a hero.
So what do you want to do about Gribbly Beastie in jar?
She's going to try and speak. She can still see it. It's just sort of
Yeah, it's just retracted.
recoiled
It's
into
still
it.
there, yeah.
How can I learn what you know?
It speaks into your head again, but everyone can hear this. It's fairly obvious there's no audible sound, but if you remember, you can all hear it as if you're hearing it somewhere in here rather than somewhere through here. This face comes back out a little bit. You can just see kind of the yellow, almost sickly glow from its eyes and these kind of moving tendrils in the mist. You could live for an aeon.
No.
It's like the ethereal version of Go Suck a Lemon.
Okay.
Are you negotiating with this thing? Are you...
I can't release you.
Another will come. Or perhaps my master will die and his power will wane.
Tell me one thing. The Dwarven King. Do you know of him?
I do.
Do you know if he's still alive?
I do.
Can you share that with me?
My master was very interested in the dwarves. Why too are you?
We're seeking the royal bloodlines, the true royal bloodlines from many ages past. It is believed, or we believe, the augurs, that only by finding the true bloodlines we'll be able to stop what it is that is happening.
Your world is dying, Elentrix. You seek to prevent this.
Yes.
I cannot see how you can.
But I can only try.
I do not understand what you mean by finding the true bloodlines. This is something I do not know.
But the dwarves, can they be found?
Yes.
I want to take him with us, but Felix would kill me. Or try.
If you want to learn more of them, you should head up to the specimen room.
Well, that sounds ominous.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that doesn't sound terribly frightening at all.
One more thing. What do you know of this Wesley?
Nice to meet you.
Good day.
Is it? Okay. Could have fooled me.
He was in a box just like this man. Is that your doing?
I know a lot of the tower. If he was found in the cage you mentioned, he either tried to break into the premises, he was caught by my master, or else he travelled here from elsewhere.
Does that sound about right?
Yes.
This tower is impenetrable. If you try to travel from elsewhere, you will be contained.
What do you mean? Did you teleport in?
Possibly. I don't know, to be honest. I'm not from here, though. I know that.
When you say not from here, you mean not from this world?
From Asher. By the way, I'm a Duergar, so I would look to you like maybe. Have you met Goric? Have you met Goric?
Yes.
Yes. So it's going to be a dwarven, elderly dwarven Duergar with a very darker skin tone, but almost violet. It's almost it's almost a purpley hue. But he's old, but he's very lean. He's very lean and quite muscular, actually, in all honesty. And maybe you've never seen one before. I don't know where you're from, but
Looks like a hot granddad.
Maybe a hot granddad. He could be wearing what could be described as a business suit with armour plates on it. I don't know why.
Has he got an armoured pocket square?
Of course, yes. With a pen tidy and a name badge
Yeah.
with the name in red, Wesley.
Wesley.
I am Wesley, is what it says there. It's a standard issue for the away team. Standard issue kit.
Okay. You're
Wesley, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Are you Goric?
No, I'm Thanaeus.
Do you know Goric?
Do I know Goric?
Yeah, you are likely to have heard of him because you encountered.
I've heard of him.
Felix.
Everyone always says this. Like, you must be so forgettable.
I don't even know Goric.
It's really horrible for him. Yeah.
It's
Not
likely
Goric.
you
Trying to
encountered
figure
him
out-
at Spetacasa.
I've heard of Goric.
I've ever met 1,000 Gorics or no Goric.
We're on.
Quite a common name. It's like Skywalker.
Yeah, we're sort of on the journey under a combination of Goric and Atlantrix's
Yeah.
direction to head in
That's
this,
right.
this
I'm
direction
fully aware, Jack.
with Felix.
I'm a power
I'm
player.
just here to watch after him. So I've heard of Goric.
Have you? Could you take me to him? I'd love to meet him.
I have no idea where he is. Why do you want to find Goric? What's
Because
so important?
I've spoken to Goric. I've been instructed.
You've been instructed by Goric to find Goric.
No, I've been instructed by the masters to make contact on Asher, and I've made contact with Goric, and I'm looking for Goric.
Okay. I can't help you find Goric, not directly.
I think he's gone Goric. You know,
I think it might be a little bit of Goric going on here.
What do you look like, sir?
a real strong.
To me.
I'm tall, pale, dark-haired, wearing hood, cloak, leather armour, various weapons slung around my belt, half-elf, thin, well not thin, but slim. Look like I could do it with getting out in the sun a bit more.
Nice.
Very dark hair.
Yeah. Black hair.
Not black, no,
No.
not quite black. Blackish.
Blackish. It's one of the dark with a hue of blue.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's got brown roots.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been.
I like how intermittently we just forget some of our team members sort of sucked into the floor. We'll come back to that later.
I was going to say, what's happened to the other little guy?
Oh, don't worry about that.
He'll be fine. This play happens.
I swear I heard his voice just before
Hmm.
my box vanished.
Yeah, when you came
He
up,
said
went
something
in.
about double bookings, and then that was it. He was gone.
Strange. Strange.
Let's go upstairs.
Oh, to the even more scary sounding rooms.
Well, the options are we go upstairs to scary places, or we go downstairs where there's no way out. So, you know,
Okay.
what are you going to do?
Sure, there's going to be a way out up.
Yeah, fair point.
No, fine. We're here to find things out.
If ever I need to contact you from afar, would you reciprocate my message?
If I remain here, I would have little else to do.
I might hold you to that.
That's cool. And what if I contact you?
If I remain here, I would have little else to do.
Cool.
But to ignore you.
I should warn you, the fact that your friend has arrived would suggest that my master still has power.
What's your name? Or what name do you most commonly go by?
It is not customary for my people to share their name.
You sure you don't go by many names?
It is not customary for my people to share their names.
No. No. Ravenheap. Gladislav.
There are powers in the world. Some are names.
Adobe. Okay.
You may call me what you wish, if it satisfies your curiosity.
Naming round. What would we call him?
Well, he's just said we call him what you wish.
Nice.
It's a strange name, but it's not the strangest I've heard around here.
As you wish, what you wish.
So we're going upstairs into the what did he call it?
Desk
Specimens
chamber.
room.
Yes.
Sounds like
The
fun.
hatch is above the desk.
Ah. How far up is the hatch?
It's literally above the desk. If you were sat at the huge ornate chair that's next to the desk, you could reach up to a long chain and actually pull it. So it's not far up. If that makes
Have
sense.
we thoroughly searched this room?
There are a few things in here. You haven't really thoroughly searched it. There's the desk in front of you. There's this ominous-looking cylindrical tube filled with gas. On your right-hand side, if you're looking square at the desk, would be the bookcase. So there's a bookcase with a series of books. It was found out last session, just to remind you that they seem to be alarmed in some way. Though nothing happened when you triggered said alarm. On kind of, if you stood in the centre of the room looking at the desk, over your left shoulder would be like an alchemical apparatus. There seems to be lots of glass vials and jars and kind of alembic and all this kind of stuff set up.
Is there anything particular about the alchemical equipment? Anything that looks like it might be potions or useful?
Useful, you'd have to determine. Potions, probably. All of them seem to be glowing with different kind of vaguely pastel tinges.
I mean,
so it's kind
I
of red
do-
and blue and different vials.
I do have a set of alchemist supplies on me, so I do have some knowledge of these things.
Yeah, you can give me a roll. Alchemy tools, which would probably be. I always forget tool rolls. What is it in this edition? Something in
What
your
rolls?
proficiency. If you're proficient in it, if you're rolling with a tool.
Skill check.
So it'd be-
What's
alchemy isn't a skill in this edition, is it? Somebody remind me of 5th edition.
It's
what's-
Oh, tool. Yeah.
It's tool you used to roll.
Do
They
they
got
not-
rid of all the
Do
skills
they not
and
just make
replaced
you
them with tool.
proficient?
Yeah, you just add your proficiency bonus if you're proficient with that tool
To whatever skill check you do.
to whatever appropriate skill check
Cool.
is.
So
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
case, it would be Arcana plus your proficiency bonus, which I imagine is +3. But
It says on your character sheet, yeah. That's true.
Okay, Arcana. That is 15 plus my proficiency is 18.
Nice, 18. Yeah, this is an alchemist tool bench. It looks like it's been used for various things. More commonly, you think that it's been used. Normally, when you see alchemical desks like this, the first thing that catches you is it's very ornate and very high quality. That's incredibly rare in the land of Asher. So this whole setup is incredibly rare. You'd also put that it's very old. So it probably predates a lot of the current laws around magic. Contained within it, you would. Your first thought when you think of alchemy are things like potions of healing or potions of cat's grace or stone skin or stuff that might aid an adventurer, for example. Not a lot of that. You're not really sure what any of this stuff does, but you could bet that a lot of it is kind of utility. So it's based around perhaps making glyphs or inks or dyes. Arguably small experiments into perhaps sustaining specimens for a long period of time. These kind of things.
Nothing that I can positively identify as being useful to
No,
our
there's enough
cause.
stuff here that you could probably try, but nothing. You can't identify any immediate ingredients. One of the things that, in fact, you wouldn't be aware, but the thing that catches your eye quite commonly is a lot of the alchemical ingredients you'll be used to, particularly in cities, are stored in oils or stored for long periods of time or dried out and have been dried out for a long period of time because they're often smuggled in. All of this is fresh.
Expensive stuff. Going up, aren't we?
Like how expensive? Like resale? Like
You'd have difficulty selling this on. Everything on this table is incredibly illegal
oh,
in its current form.
I'm not.
Even if you were to dry it out, seal it, whatever you wanted to do with it, it would still be illegal. Just still illegal, but not quite as instantly, immediately, illegally illegal.
I understand.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Probably worth some cash, but not worth the effort it would take to get it.
Yeah. You'd have to be like, oh, it's just for personal consumption.
Yeah, this is the sort of stuff that you're not going to
Couldn't
get
get
away
it to
with
the house,
saying personal consumption.
One last question before we go upstairs, if there are any stairs.
Maybe it's one of those fold-out ones when you pull the handle.
I think
Do
it
you,
is.
do you have any form of omniscience, or at least telekinesis, telepathy?
The power for me to communicate would probably cause you great pain for me to explain.
Are you aware of what's happening elsewhere in Asher right now?
To an extent, yes.
Do you know of individuals?
With time, yes.
Do you know of a gnome named Zola?
He retracts into the gas for a little while. Oddly, you see small flashes of pink that come through this gas, and it kind of creates this almost like strange thunderstorm in a teacup kind of effect from within this glass tube, if you like. And then this face emerges again. I do now.
Is he well?
No,
No.
he's been missing for some time.
Missing. Missing how?
I do not understand. He is not findable for some time.
And Thorinir, a wood elf, travelling with Zoe.
You and my master are not so apart. He too wanted to know of the outside world, but did not wish to find it himself.
I think that was an insult.
Let's find him then.
I wish you good luck.
And good day to you too.
And then he retracts back into this tube. Can you all roll me a perception check, please?
So. I was going to say so perceptive.
7.
7.
19.
Can anyone give me what? 19. Can anyone do me an advance on 19? No, 19's the one. Because you're talking to him quite closely and he's got these pink flickers, you're trying to figure out what it is he's doing in there. Just momentarily. So much so you're not even sure that you saw it. You'll know that the specimen, as we previously described it, is made from like a dark stone at the top and the bottom. But there's this glass-looking tube that you can now see is very thick because of the crack running through it. While the stone remains in place, just momentarily you think you see a flash of the cylinder itself disappearing and reappearing.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Just momentarily, it's almost like it glitches and it's not there, and then it reappears.
Did anybody else see that?
See what?
I was busy looking at this wonderful sword I got. I rolled a 1.
You disappeared.
Cut your thumb on the sword as you did that.
To be specific, just the glass.
Just the glass. She remembered. She's going to go and reach to touch it, but then she remembered she felt it when she hit it. Okay.
Okay then.
You
Going up?
still have this weird, noxious smell that's seeping ever so slightly out of the small crack in there. And while the crack is quite large, there's only a small amount that seems to be not quite airtight. Say noxious, it's sulfuric is probably the best smell. You don't think it's
It's not
causing
noxious,
harm.
just deadly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Felix is going to pull the chain.
Nice. You pull the chain, and as you do, it's quite smooth, as if it's been well oiled. So you pull it.
Like a well-oiled chain.
He appreciates the mechanism.
Perhaps as you're surprised, as you pull it, the same action, the desk, which you'll remember has been remarkably clean and free of bric-a-brac, collapses into the floor with the same action. And a series of steps roll out of the trapdoor. So unlike the others that were just hatches in the ceiling of the ladder, a series of very dark wood, almost oak, perhaps, or mahogany steps fold out, and they clack all the way down until they make almost a spiral staircase leading from the side of the bookcase all the way up through the hall.
This one's fancy as hell. You missed out on all the weird ladders and trees we had to climb to get up here.
Oh, really? Didn't feel anything. I was at ground level, and then there was strange sort of floating feeling, and then I was in here.
As this thing opens, you do get a kind of the scent changes. This room's been fairly warm and quite humid and quite almost well adorned. It kind of smelled of a mixture of kind of leather from the books and almost as if somebody spent a long time in here. As the door opens, you get a sudden cold sensation and also a musty smell of almost like a large empty space above you. Not uncommon to like opening almost a very large attic door or something like that.
Who wants to go first?
I think Elandric should go first. She was the one who almost let the Your cat out of the bag, yeah. I use cat very seriously.
A long time ago, I remember as a child opening the attic door in my grandmother's house. As in there, I found the first book that led me on this journey. I first learnt of this history, this thing that we've come to understand now that wasn't understood once. They say that smell, your olfactory memory, is stronger than almost any other. As I came into the attic here, it took me back to being a child, just for a moment, before I'd uncovered these mysteries and threats of the world. I'm just going to keep walking up into the attic.
All very poetic. I'm just going to take my crossbow off my belt, click it open, and ready it.
As you walk up these steps, each one of them seems almost perfectly engineered. They're on kind of a spar that runs down one side, and it's only like a single leaf step that comes out of it. And as you touch it, there's a small depression of your weight, and it's almost like it's spring-loaded as you're going up. But as you reach the top of these stairs, and you will go through kind of a square hatch as you go into it, all of that kind of luxury fades away. You find yourself in a dark grey stone room. It's very large, it's probably 100 feet in its diameter, but it's completely circular. It's rough hewn on the floor, so it is hewn, but it's fairly rough to the touch. If you were to touch it, it looks rough. And the outside walls are of the same material, all the way up to the ceiling, which is flat, just like the floor is. You are hit by the cold. This room isn't heated. Also, you'll notice that there is no light in the room whatsoever, other than the fact that you can see in colour, which would indicate that this is being lit somehow. There's no obvious light source. However, all of this you may miss completely, because there is an incredibly large glass cylinder in the centre of the room that matches the one you've seen downstairs, but much, much larger. It still has these glyphs carved around the top and the bottom. And in the slightly dim light, you can see a very large, almost spherical thing within it. It doesn't seem to move, but it's within this cylinder. And there are other cylinders in the room, so as you go up through the hatch, first you can see this massive one in the centre of the room, and it could be 20 foot across. It's huge. There is a collection of 5 in a line over your right shoulder, almost to the back of this large cylinder in the middle. There's some kind of almost chevron or triangular shaped group of them if you looked along your left shoulder around the back of the cylinder, and directly to your left there's a collection of 4 kind of smaller cylinders. Welcome to the specimen room.
So just sorry, force. Recap that last 10 seconds.
So there's 4 directly to your left, almost kind of 15 feet away. There's 4 smaller cylinders that are on the floor.
I'll walk up enough so that everyone can come in.
Luckily, you all see the same thing.
I'd just like to point out that this room is an awful lot wider than the tower appeared from the outside, in case anybody hadn't noticed that.
I honestly hadn't noticed.
The other cylinders, are they occupied?
It would appear so. It's hard to see what from a distance, but each one seems to have something within it.
I'm going to go up to the nearest smaller cylinder, pointedly, not looking at the big round thing in the middle one yet.
So, over to your left then, there's some. They're probably they're probably Castan's height. You know, they're roughly kind of. Well, Castan would probably be about 4 foot tall. These are a little bit smaller. They're about 3 foot tall off the ground. They're capped in the same way. So they have a stone top and a stone bottom, roughly kind of 3 foot across. Almost, if it wasn't for the fact it was cylindrical, it's kind of direct measurements would always make it a cube. If that makes sense. Within it, as you kind of gaze within it, are a series of different flowers or plants. There are 4 different colours. One's orange, one's red, one's purple, and one's green. They're slightly different, but unless you're good with herbs, it'd be hard to tell why.
It's like the worst garden ever.
Are these floating in liquid or just?
That's a very good question. I should have answered. Well done. Yes, they're all floating in kind of like a light. It's a mixture between yellow and green. It's hard to know kind of is. It's almost like some kind of fluid that they're in, and they're kind of floating within it.
Plants.
Felix is going to look at the really big one.
The really big one. It's hard to get a good look.
Mm.
You're going to have to get pretty close to this thing in order to...
Oh, he'll get close.
He'll get real close. You've never been in an aquarium,
Mm.
I presume. I don't know if there's an aquarium in aqua.
He's never been to the sea.
So it's an incredibly unusual...
Aquarium.
Aquarium world.
Hey.
That's why I'm keeping you around. Inside this incredibly large cylinder, you saw this kind of spherical mass. I'm not going to make you roll for it, but the thing within it is fairly unsettling to behold. It's incredibly large. It has kind of a half-opened maw, kind of mouth with kind of jagged teeth coming out, and there seems to be one gigantic eye that's kind of half open, half closed, and the eye itself is discoloured and doesn't seem to have a pupil or anything. It's obviously gone through some form of degradation and is rotting. And there seems to be some kind of large kind of stalks coming out of it. There's vague, what look like almost kind of fairy step mushrooms kind of growing out of one side of it. They don't look like it was part of the original creature. And various other kind of fungoid kind of lips and filigree that kind of protrude out of it in various stages.
While Felix is looking closely at it, I come up behind him and just go right in next to him and say, "Do you think it's alive?"
Oh, jeez! What are you doing? Hey, Phineas, I found your mom.
Brilliant.
So, it's pretty creepy. You think this mossy stuff's got anything to do with the mossy dead man we saw? It's asking you a question.
The mossy dead man. Oh, could be, I suppose. I'm not really an expert on
I'm
this
not
sort
going
of
in there
thing.
to find out.
No, I recommend that we don't open this or even get too close to it.
Is this in fluid as well? Almost like kind of like,
Exactly the
like an embalming
Yeah,
fluid.
it's in some kind of mixture of kind of yellow and green fluid. This tank is so large that actually it would seem like parts of this larger creature have become dislodged at various points and kind of floating in this
So it
liquid.
seems very dead.
Yeah, and there's almost a the fluid itself looks to be kind of yellow and green in certain areas because it's so large. It seems to have almost emulsified, if you like. In various
Oily
places.
smears on bits of
Yeah,
glass.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Fuck
It's-
it.
it's,
I'm going to bang on the glass. Bang, 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 bang.
It bubbles slightly. So bubbles are released from somewhere. Bits of kind of bubbles from within the creature seem to be. And like I say, it's hard to describe. One, you've never seen something this large in liquid before, because the tank itself is kind of 20 foot across. So you are, as you knock on it, you are perhaps slightly reassured of the fact that the glass feels very thick.
I think it's dead.
Yeah, it seems really dead. It's low humidity, that's why it's all congealed like that. It's really bad maintenance. How do you think you got it up here? Or maybe it was always up here. Isn't this place really
Maybe
damn
built
old?
the tower around it. I mean, nothing about this place makes any sort of sense anyway.
Is there anything that looks like it connects into this thing, or is
Crane?
it just? No, it's just like a nice to have.
As in,
Into this like glass cylinder, like he's not drawing power from it or something like.
doesn't seem to be.
Dude, why? Like, why would you have this? Like, it's dirt and it takes up all this space. You could have like a sauna.
He's doing a lot of experiments with potions and things. Maybe this is a useful ingredient.
Yeah, I guess for the man who has everything,
Yeah. Why not have
a massive
giant
head in an
eyeball in a tank?
tank? Yeah.
Landrix is going to be drawing this thing, or attempting to draw it on one of the many sheets of parchment.
Roll a dice. Roll a dice.
So
Your drawing skill, please.
I'm going to have a mooch around at the rest of the tanks.
Calligraphy.
So on your
Scroll.
right hand side, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all in a line.
Mm-hmm.
And then almost behind the cylinder to the left, there's almost like a chevron. There seems to be 4, but as you see the light kind of refracting, you realise there's almost rows behind it that kind of get less and less as it gets further away from you.
They've all got various creatures in them, or
It would
more
look so.
plants and-
Which way are you going?
I'll go back to where the plants were and go beyond them. And
so it's kind of the chevron thing.
Yeah.
Back there. As you look at the first 4, cylinders, if you like, they're just over human size. They're almost a size and a half of a human. And these first 4, it's really hard at first to see what's in there because you get a humanoid form that is almost completely covered in a mixture of fungus and plant material. So there's odd leaves growing out of certain areas, there's kind of fungus growing out of various areas, and it kind of makes your heart sink a little bit when you realise this thing was probably human at some point. It's not entirely dissimilar to the body that you saw previously at your trip.
It all comes together.
this is deeply unpleasant. Looking round,
You will notice if you continue looking, I should say, if you continue along the chevrons, the next row, so the first row is 4, then there's a row of 3. Those 3 look slightly less covered in leaves and kind of the fungal part's still there, but less leaves and foliage. They look almost in a lesser stage, if you like. There's then 2 beyond that actually only have various patches of what look like black bark in various areas of their body. The final cylinder that stands on its own, for all intents and purposes, looks like a male human with long hair and a beard, with a loincloth just floating in embalming fluid.
The real question is, which direction is success in?
yeah, is he curing or cultivating?
Are there any of those buttons you can press where it has like an audio or visual?
A little bucket with this.
What we need is to look for any indication of numbering on any of these, or any indication of a specific order.
Is it Ripley in the tube?
It's, there are glyphs on each of the tops and the bottom. I know Elantrix tried. I'm not sure if you tried to read them on the 2 downstairs. It sounds like something you would have done. You read the books, but there are these kind of what look like glyphs. Give me a rundown of all the languages you know.
Common, Dwarvish, Elvish, Gnomish, Halfling, Orc, and Sylvan.
Now, it's a very good list, but you wouldn't be able to immediately read these. But you can tell it's a language of some type. They almost look like. It's unlike any language you will have seen written down, and you've probably seen a fair few, most of you. What languages do you speak?
I speak a couple. I can't read though.
You can't read. In which case,
Look.
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But they almost, if it wasn't for the fact that they were almost embossed in stone, they'd look almost like they were scratched in. And they look quite frantically written, other than the fact they're embossed.
Undercommon?
Good shout, but no.
Well,
I thought that was undercommon.
Easy now.
Easy now, easy now. Our Welsh contingency will turn off.
There's not a lot of water between us and them.
They've invaded us before.
Us die rolling.
Wolfbite's one of our Welsh now.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Yeah.
It's true. American living in Wales, studied in Wales.
No sign of any journals, any books, notes.
That's all there is in the room.
Chains to go upstairs.
I was just going to say, any other doors,
No.
any exits anywhere? Windows?
You start looking at the ceiling for the usual hatch. There appears to be one. It is
Of course there
directly above the large cylinder in the centre of the room.
Oh, now when you go up there.
We're going to have to climb on top of the cylinder. Is that right? We're going to have to climb on top of the cylinder to get up through the
As the
hatch?
Dungeon Master, I'm unable to answer that question. I appreciate the fact that you answered past it.
No, there's got to be an easier way. Like, this guy's not going to climb up a glass cylinder every time he wants to go upstairs. What if the John is up there and he's in his study? It's ridiculous. Or maybe there's a toilet in
Looking at the floor, any indication on the floor of potential things having moved, been disturbed, dust, scraping things?
Yeah, it's a good one. If you can you roll me a survival check, probably if you're looking for tracks, or you can give me another check if you tell me what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to find evidence of a hidden entranceway, hidden passage, doorway, whether any of these jars can be moved to reveal.
Yeah, feel free to roll me probably a survival check in that sense if you're looking for things that have been moved, but like I say, if you can blag another one, I'm all ears.
That's a 20, not natural.
Whoa, that'll do it. There has been at least one person moving around in this room. That much is certain. It's hard to tell, but this room is fairly dusty, actually. And you can see odd patterns of movement, particularly amongst the series of human forms that you've just been around. Probably because you're over there, you notice that there's been somebody pacing up and down. And actually, now that you've really honed your eye in, you can probably see the odd smudge on the glass where somebody's actually looked and moved things around. Equally, there's a lot of steps that move towards the 4 cylinders that you haven't investigated yet. Close to the centre of the room where this large cylinder is, somebody's walked up to it, but then the footsteps seem to disappear.
Go on, I'll go and have a look at the other 4 cylinders.
Didn't write all of this for nothing.
Felix is going to follow him close on his tail.
You're the one with the tail.
From left to right,
Close on my tail.
I'll handle this fairly gently, depending who's viewing online. You see a series of
It's past the watershed.
It's past the watershed. We can describe whatever the hell we like.
Balls, a huge series.
Big old ball. Depending on, and in fact, can somebody make me a medicine check? Whoever's looking, can you make me a medicine check to try and figure out what the hell this thing is?
You're looking.
I'm looking, aren't I? It's not going to be... I've got a -1 on my medicine, so... It's 8.
You probably don't immediately understand what's happening when you look at the leftmost cylinder, but as you travel along to the right, the 5th one seems to be the small form of something humanoid, but it seems almost contorted. It's not quite right. It has bits of stone growing out of various parts of it, kind of arms and legs. It seems kind of contorted. As you track back through the tubes, you see smaller forms of this thing, right back to something that looks embryonic.
This is why people shouldn't live so long, you know. You end up with the weirdest hobbies. It's so strange, you know. What the hell is he doing?
It looks to me like he's growing things. He's growing these
Babies.
but also growing the stuff on the skin. Is he deliberately infecting people, or is he trying to find a cure? I've never seen this. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah, we've seen a little bit. In the other tubes, there's one with some bark on the old skin, some black stuff. Maybe like Foreigner.
Foreigner?
Oh, he's our elven friend. He's very tall.
He had this stuff on his skin?
Can Felix tell if it is equivalent? Kind of looks the same.
It looks very similar.
Yeah, it looks similar.
He was healthy and walking around and...
Physically, yes. Mentally, who knows? Yeah.
Alantrix, can you make me a history check, please, based on these 5 tubes that contain various embryonic?
26.
Wow! 26! Burned into your mind. A couple of things come to mind. One is the stone parts of these embryonic forms remind you of things you have read and stories and tales that you've collected about dwarves, specifically about dwarves. That doesn't seem to make any sense to you at first of why this person has collected various embryonic forms of dwarf. But all of a sudden you are reminded of a song that you once heard. You heard it fairly
Baby
recently.
dwarves in a tube, la 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 la.
That is the one, well done.
I was thinking Diggy Hole, but
Which sounds a little bit like this. For when the crown, stout and true, would rather burrow than grow anew, here did plant the cursed seed, and mind not on love but law and greed. For though they prospered, they will no more. There are fewer that remember yore. As gold is pure and will not rot, it cannot fill the maiden's cot.
The chorus is baby dwarfs in a tube.
You know it well.
Okay, so he's growing dwarfs?
Dwarves. I've never seen one before. Most people believe them. Well, myth.
most of our days go like this. This is actually pretty normal.
I always. So you heard me ask downstairs. I read that one of the 4 bloodlines that I'm seeking is dwarf. So I knew they must exist, but I did not expect to see them in the next floor being grown like this.
Is there any indication that any of these are alive?
You could roll. Somebody can roll me a check, a medicine check, or
No.
Somebody else.
There's 9.
9.
They look
They look like they're in fluid.
wet.
From what you don't know anything about dwarves. Maybe this is what they're supposed
Doesn't
to
know
look
anything
like.
about being alive.
The light flickers. It goes off. And while it was probably only a few seconds, in this room that's somewhat eerie, it feels like a bit of an eternity. Those of you with dark vision, which is everyone... Cool, you'll notice this because
We're
everything...
not making that mistake again, would you?
Everything goes black and white for a brief period, and your eyes have to adjust, your pupils kind of dilate and retract again. But then the light comes back, and as that happens, you hear an incredible sound that you've only ever heard from the outside, and it's the sound of thunder. to which the entire walls, various other aspects, all of the glyphs within these tubes all glow green for a moment of time. And you hear an almost bestial noise coming from upstairs. There is somebody shouting as this happens, and I can give you an impression if you like.
So, votes for going back down then.
With that, Elantric, can you roll me a perception check, please?
No. See nothing at all.
Nothing seems to happen.
No, that's a 1.
Nothing seems to happen.
A 1.
You're probably somewhat distracted.
We're going upstairs, aren't we?
Yeah,
We're going upstairs.
Yeah,
aren't we?
it's what we do. So, it's
Right.
all-
How are we going to get up to this hatch?
Felix,
I shall investigate.
Hello.
you momentarily realise that one of your paws are wet.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, the one you're standing on. One of the ones you stand on.
He looks at it.
That one's dry.
Oh, it's one of these.
That one's dry. Hang on a minute.
And as you look over, it's because you realise that one of the cylinders that contains one of the plants has disappeared. The top has gone, the bottom has gone, the glass has disappeared, and there's just a red plant lying on the floor, and the fluid is just flowing out into the floor.
Yeah, okay, that's not so good. So he's having seen the weird, rotty people in the tubes. He's going to pull his neckerchief up over his nose, and he's going to be like, "I think we got a bit of a biohazard thing going on over here," and back away. Not today, disco lady.
Yeah, Luntrix will kind of back up and make sure she doesn't.
Yeah.
She's already been infected by one spore cloud.
Can you roll initiative, please?
Daddy.
No. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I'm going back down.
Rolling the boat.
Stairs.
Rolling the ball, we're going downstairs. I should have waited till after the break, but here we are.
It was fine.
Roll it.
It was fine all along.
I can do it. Oh jeez, I don't have my music ready.
Oh,
I'll put that back on for a minute.
Jack.
High Seas Pursuit sounds fun.
High Seas Pursuit, that sounds
Viking
amazing.
Village.
This one sounds good.
Tavern Celebration.
Is it suitable?
Sounds suitable, yeah.
Another 1.
Nice. Elantrix, you are going to be last.
Really makes me want to play fast.
She's really distracted.
Go on then, let's go round the room. Thineus, what you want?
15.
15. Do I have the correct doodads? I don't have the correct doodads. I've got a barbarian and a paladin I need. Get rid of that. I don't have a blood hunter. A rogue will have to do. What did you say you was, sorry? 15?
15.
You're currently top of the pack.
13.
9.
Nines. That is exactly right. We're up to Thineus. You are first. You hear a smash.
Oh, good.
You think it came over from the humanoid jars somewhere. The light continues to flicker. Not like a strobe, but it does flicker on and off. It doesn't affect you. It's quite disorientating in the fact that the light keeps changing. But you hear a smash from over there somewhere. That's it.
I'm preparing an action, which
Yeah.
is to have my crossbow ready, and the moment I see anything move that isn't one of the four of us, I'm going to shoot it.
Yep, that seems fair.
And I'm going to back up against the big jar in the middle of the room. So I'll back up against the thing.
I imagine the big head.
Are you facing
Outwards.
Please
facing
fan
outwards? In which direction?
Face up against the jar like that.
Please face outwards.
Facing outwards. Which direction? I will scooch round the big round jar until
Yeah.
I'm facing towards where the smashing noise came
Oh,
from.
that's fine.
Crossbow out.
Ready to come up, whatever.
Yeah.
Felix, you're up. You hear 3 more smashing noises,
Oh.
or at least a collection of loud smashing noises. You can vaguely discern that there were 3. Just thinking what that would sound like, but yeah. 3,
Smash, smash, smash.
Yeah, like that,
Yeah.
in rapid succession.
Dwarf embryos.
The same direction of these human, wherever these human jars were.
Cool. Felix is going to run up on Thanius.
Whatever.
So he's in close with him,
Mm-hmm.
and he is probably going to ready like a reaction basically.
Yeah, cool. What are you gonna ready?
If anything
Got a
comes
big
out of the
fucking
dark, he's
sword.
going to swing the big sword at it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'll take it. And
I got your orange sherbet.
my good friend, I want to say Wilson.
Wesley.
Sorry, Wesley. I'm still learning
Wilson.
English. Wilson. That's where I got it from. You don't hear that from upstairs. Over to you, mate. You hear you hear 4 smashing noises.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And both of you will see various glass smashing in that direction now, and some kind of movement. It's hard to discern what's going on. Over to you.
Well, can I see anything? Is anything?
No, over
Not at
towards
the
the
moment?
direction of those human tubes, if you like. There's some kind of smashing and movement.
Interesting.
Nothing's come out of it yet. It's obviously 6 seconds, so
Yeah.
something's moving.
Yeah, yeah.
moving out.
Well, I'll head over to my 2 comrades
Mm-hmm.
and I'll walk over to them and just ready a weapon and just kind of follow their lead.
Beauty.
Usually this is a bad thing when the music changes.
Whenever my internal music changes, something bad happens. Charging out of the darkness.
Twang.
Twang chop. Are a collection of fungoid humanoids that run snarling and snapping towards you. It's hard to determine immediately how many of them there are, but there's a group of them moving together.
But we're pretty sure it's probably about 4. And they have the faces of the band Fallout Boy.
It's hard to determine. There are more than 4. There are more than 4, but you don't know how many.
Okay.
How many are in there in the mix? But it's a group that are kind of running.
The first one I see gets shot.
Cool. Can you make your shot, please?
That's an 18 to hit.
That will be a hit.
That's 3 damage, 3 piercing damage. Do I get a second shot?
You don't when you ready in action, to my knowledge.
That's
Correct me
when
if
you
I'm
use
wrong,
attack
Terence.
on your turn.
Yeah, so you should be fine. Cool, it sunks into the darkness somewhere, and you're damn sure you hit the thing. You're not sure what it did at this point. Over to you, my good friend Felix. You can...
How far away are they?
You are, that's a very good question. Quick trigonometry. Probably about 60 feet away from where you are.
He's going to stay right where he is.
Cool. No worries.
Was it my turn or was it a reaction?
That was your reaction.
Okay. Yeah, he's going to stick.
Cool. No worries. These things come charging out of the darkness, and they charge roughly 30 feet towards you. There's a group of them. There's heads, there's snapping, there's bits of fungus. So it's hard to determine how many of them there are, but they're moving very much as a group running straight towards you. Our good friend Elantrix.
She raises a shield. A normally faint glow of the Ophidia crest on her shield. I guess looks a little brighter in the slight dark. Are we still in slight darkness? Looks a little bit
The
brighter.
light keeps coming in, but it keeps flickering, so actually it's pitch black for brief periods of time. Thank God you can all see in the dark!
So are we getting disadvantage because we're in dim light?
No, not currently.
No, okay.
I'll let you know if you do, man.
Okay.
But you can all see in the dark anyway, right? So
but pitch black turns to dim light. You can't
Oh,
vision.
true.
Mm.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me of that. That might come in useful later.
So
Suck up.
kind of inspiration. So she's going to tap Felix on the back of the scruff.
Oh, hello.
And
There's a lot of skin back there.
Little-
You're just surprised by how
little
much-
tickle.
like, it's real stretchy.
And then she's going to cast resistance. Her concentration, so you get a d4 next turn. You need to make a saving throw.
Nice. I will put a
And
D4 in front of me to remind me.
is the trap door downstairs open?
Yeah, still
Yeah, she's going to try and shut that as a second action.
Stop them from going downstairs. You just bring it back
More,
up.
more stop the things that was downstairs coming up.
Ah, okay. Yep, you can absolutely do that. Are you trying to bar it in any way? Or are you just pulling it back up again?
She's going to pull it up at the moment, and if there was anything, like if there was obviously like a latch or something there, she would do any of that.
That doesn't seem to be.
Otherwise,
That's a good shout.
Yeah, she's just shutting it because at least
Yeah.
that's one level of preclusion.
Yeah. You pull it. There is a chain there, and as you pull it, this elaborate clacking system kind of pulls back up, and there's almost like a pile of mahogany steps in a small cylindrical pile, if you like. That obviously is meant to retract out. It looks less pretty when it's piled up on top of each other.
That's her.
Which means that it's over to Thenaeus again. They're bearing down on you is a collection of snapping jaws. I should mention at this point that something else happens. You hear a series of cracking noises. Crack, twang, snap. And the structure that you've got your back up against feels slightly less sturdy than it did before.
No.
Nope.
So
Nope.
your back feels slightly wet.
No.
But don't worry about it, it's probably fine.
Right.
She
I
just closed the exit.
yeah. I think we need to move. I'm going to. So I've got my back against the thing.
Yeah.
Creatures are coming at me from
Dead ahead.
dead ahead.
Family. Yeah.
I'm going to run to the side.
Yeah.
Having felt this moisture against my back, I'm like, whoa, no. I'm going to run to the side
Mhm.
so I can keep a view on the creatures coming towards me.
Yeah.
And snap off 2 shots with my crossbow as I run. Can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Make your shot, my good sir.
With disadvantage, I think. I'm afraid, Stu.
Really?
It's flickering. So
Okay, so if it goes
it's
bright,
not
it's fine.
gone dark, fully dark yet.
Okay, first one is 13 to hit.
That is a match, which I shouldn't say out loud. What does that mean again? Does it mean
That's a hit.
or misses? It's a hit. We'll go with this. It's the one. It's normally whichever one favours Jack. Is the way around.
It's
And
whatever
that's-
is considered a success. A match is always a success.
Matches. Why do we never
Whoever's
remember? Why do I
rolling it,
never
yeah.
remember that? But yeah, it's a success.
That's a 9 piercing damage on that one.
Nice. This arrow flies into this mass of bodies, so it's hard to see exactly who you hit and what damage you do. But there's a slide on in there.
Second shot is a 20 to hit, not natural.
And I'll do it.
And that's another 9 piercing damage.
Nice.
And as a bonus action, I'm going to as I'm reloading my crossbow,
Yeah.
you will notice a faint red glow comes from my hand as I reload the crossbow, and I'm applying a crimson light to my weapon,
Cool.
which gives it an extra d6 damage, but I have to take d6 damage.
Does it
so-
say your blood magic?
Yeah.
Do your veins like change colour or anything like your body?
Oh, great! It was a 6. Of course, it was a fucking 6. So I've
So
taken
no.
I've taken 6 damage
Cool.
by casting the spell.
Have we seen you do that before?
don't believe so.
No, not directly.
How
No,
horrendous does it look?
it doesn't really look
Scale
much
of
of
1 to
anything.
horrendous.
My eyes glow a bit red, and yes, my veins will sort of pulse a red, and this red will go down my arm and into my hand, and I sort of pass it over the weapon, which will glow faintly red and then go back to normal.
It doesn't look like you're receiving pain or anything, you know.
You'll notice a flicker of discomfort come across me. I'm well practiced at this. It's more of a sort of wince of a passing thing. It's not a
You're checking your glucose level.
yeah.
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 You saw the plug before you stepped on it.
Yeah.
The D4.
It doesn't. It's
Sliding
nothing.
around like a
It's
calendar.
nothing overt. It's a very, very subtle form of magic.
Lovely, which brings us over to Felix. You've got a bearing, snapping teeth. You actually think you saw when that bolt went in, the second bolt went in, one of them fall away. So you
Yeah.
think you're causing some kind of damage at this group, but they are still bearing down.
How far
on
away
your
are they?
teeth. About 30 feet away at this point.
Yeah, cool.
Close enough to smell them.
He's going to pat Finesse on the side. I got this buddy, and he's going to head on in. Going in close. And he's going to swing the big old sword at the nearest one, I think. It's what I do. 14 to hit.
That's it.
It's more than the 13 you said before.
You almost got my cunning plan. The DM makes up whatever the AC is. He feels like.
I re-roll ones and twos. Lovely. It's better. So he does 5 plus 4, 9 slashing damage.
Nice.
Just bits of viscera going everywhere, and then he's going to attack again.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge swathes of kind of fungal growth
God,
goes
not
flying.
rolling amazing, but it is
You
a
notice that you're
13.
running through this fluid as well. This fluid's
Oh,
like
it's
all over.
draining out of
It's
this.
draining out all these tubes.
It's disgusting, and so his little legs look smaller at a distance because like the fluff goes away, and you see this kind of like skinny little legs, almost like he's wearing shorts. 13 to hit.
Yeah, that is now I realise that is a success. Yes.
It's 11 damage.
Beautiful. Well done. You'll notice another body goes falling away from this group.
Blade in, up, cut through head in half.
Oh.
Thing scissors in half. Classic.
2 down. Yeah, so we're over to our good friend Wesley.
Wesley!
Shut up, Wesley! So I had to do it.
I think Wesley's just going to charge in after Felix, I guess. He's...
The charge
Yeah,
on
charge
it.
Goric! Yeah,
Beauty.
need to find Goric. Maybe he's this way.
Charge on in.
Yeah, I'll charge in. I've only got 25 feet, but I've got 5 foot on me Warhammer. So do I make it? Just have I got one just on edge of me Warhammer?
Sorry, when you said you got 25 foot.
I've got 25 foot, but I've got 5 inch range. So can I make it?
I'll give it you, mate. I'll give it you. It's theatre of the mind. It'd be weird if you fell 5 foot short, wouldn't it?
I could do.
You charge with all your mind, you don't quite make it. Next.
Well,
Yeah, go on.
I guess I have to punch somebody with a Warhammer.
Go ahead.
Try and stove a skull in for a 19, which I guess will hit
That is it. Yes.
for 9 damage as well.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good hit. Well
And
done.
I've got a second attack, so I hit again with a Warhammer.
Beauty.
One cheek,
Yeah.
it's going to be a 7, so I don't think this one's hitting.
That is a miss, I'm afraid. You swing this thing with all your might and it hits something, but that thing, something just doesn't seem to care very much. It's probably the best way to describe
Really?
it.
Cool.
And there's some kind of squelch, and you probably would have maimed a living individual, but that doesn't seem to care. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Marvellous. As that happens, you're in this mass of bodies. You start to feel things grabbing at you, perhaps biting at you. It's hard to see kind of where one starts and the other one ends. And specifically yourself, Felix.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 16 to hit.
It matches, and based on the rules, that's a hit.
That's a hit. It's the one that favours me, right? What? Let me do this real quick. So you start to feel hands clawing at you. You start to dig in. You feel the odd bite and various bits kind of grabbing hold of you. You feel wet, and not just from what's below you. You realise that you're bleeding quite profusely as you take 18 piercing damage.
Can I interpose that?
Ooh, I don't know what
Am
that
I within
means. That
5
sounds exciting.
foot? Am I within
Yeah,
5
we're in
foot?
close to
you're
each other.
right.
I will use my reaction to interpose. So I guess I'd have seen it, and I'll be poking at them with the end of my warhammer. Get off of him!
What does that do? Sounds exciting.
I can just reduce the target's damage by 1d10 plus 3.
Beauty. Yeah.
Potentially, it's only once a round.
Little
obviously, as a
sentinel, we got that.
as
Like,
a reaction.
For every round, you can do that.
Is that a d10? Yeah, it's a reaction.
Reef.
Yeah,
Off
it's
front
my
roast,
for a
reaction.
mortal.
stick.
That was a d8. I don't want a d8. I want a d10. Doink.
Last words.
Yep.
What's that? That's 2d. It's a percentile dice. There
You
we go.
cannot kill me. I am.
You get 8 damage.
Right,
So
well
down to
done.
10. So you're going to take 10.
Nice.
I
Take
managed to
that.
poke a couple of hands off you.
Yeah. He still doesn't look very well.
Okay.
He's covered in blood. Oh.
Alantrix, it's up to you. You just saw this Felix and Wesley go into this massive bodies. Various fighting happening. This large cylindrical tube from where you're stood near the hatch, you can see it starts to crack all the way up. This light is still flashing.
This is the dead head.
A large creature within this massive
With one
center
eye.
of the room. Yeah.
Good. That should be fine.
You start to hear the trickling of water coming out of this thing.
It's also from you.
Okay.
How many crossbow bolts do you generally have?
Alright, yeah, she's going to crossbow out and just go for
Easy to any.
crowd control on the
It's
various
a major time.
Crowd.
Sorry.
on the various running
Yeah.
plant-like creatures.
Yeah,
Humanoid.
absolutely. You can
Yeah.
take a shot.
Yeah.
Please do so. You're firing into this massive bodies. They've almost engulfed Felix at this point.
19
19 hits a hit.
Been nothing but a phone.
and 7 piercing.
Well done, sir. There's significantly less of them at this point. Definitely a couple have fallen away. You can start to see through them a bit more. But they're still very much there and present. There is an almighty smashing noise. Can you all make a dexterity saving throw?
Yeah.
If anybody was within 10 feet of me, they'll get a plus 3 to that save
Oh.
as well.
Oh.
My aura.
I'm probably not. Unless I am. No, I'm not.
Oh, I got my my D4 as well.
I'm stood on the track.
I got all 23.
Natural 20!
Well done.
19.
25.
Well done.
16.
Well done, all. You probably guess what's going to happen. The centre cylinder shatters, and as you can hear, almost like the hard dropping of glass as this thing shatters. Only briefly, because a tidal wave, that can only be described as a tidal wave of weird, thick embryonic fluid, kind of flaps out from this thing. And hits you all. It probably hits you about chest height because of the volume of this thing.
I'm glad I'm the tallest one here.
Yeah, it goes very close to your beard, this thing. Felix is probably like way over here, like a tidal wave of filth just washing on you. The odd chunk just flapping off there. But you all manage to hold your ground. You probably slide just a foot or two. But other than that, you manage to hold your ground.
Felix is going to grab an arm and the arm is going to detach.
These hands that are kind of all over you seem to slip away, and actually you notice that these bodies kind of are washed further away from you and pushed about kind of 20 feet from where you stood as this embryonic fluid throws them back towards the tubes that they're in. So that happens. You then hear a strange guttural moaning noise. Large, saggy, reverberating ripcords as something groans from the centre of the room. Briefly you see odd flashes of light from it as they flash and move around. And sadly, Wesley,
Wesley.
something is about to happen.
Come on!
I'll tell you exactly what.
Oh.
You end up back in the office.
You end up back in the office. Everything's
Back in
fine.
The cube.
Can you make me a Constitution saving throw, please?
Yours? Oh, it's 16.
A 16. Da-da-da-da. Okie dokie. It's probably going to be fine.
Just gonna say.
You take 19 necrotic damage.
Juicy.
So what happened was there's some kind of absence of light shot out from the centre of the room and hit you in the back. And yeah, that was its effect, I'm afraid.
Oh, jeez.
Nothing seems to move from the centre of the room. There is a floating large creature. It's hard to see where its front and its back and its eye is, just because it's covered in this kind of fungal mass as it floats in the centre of the room. Over to Thenaeus. You're up.
Oh, good. I killed the floaty creature, killed the floaty creature. Oh, hell's teeth. The horde of encrusted
Yes.
things, are they still in melee contact with?
No, they were
guys?
washed about 20 foot away from them back towards the tubes. They came up. They're kind of just flapping around in this embryonic fluid.
Right, immediate danger. Deal
Everything
with
is
the
a
immediate
little
danger.
bit slippy underfoot as this embryonic fluid sloshes all over the place.
Deal with the immediate danger. I'll take my 2 shots at the wood encrusted things.
The ball in the centre of the room, or the...
No. The things we were shooting at before.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Take out the immediate threat
You
first.
can do it with advantage because they're all flopping around on the ground
Oh,
and
good.
generally not having a good time with it.
Try that again then. That is 18
That's
to
it.
hit. So that's 9 piercing damage plus an extra d6.
Beauty.
This one won't be a 6. We're going to do that. That's a 2. So that's a total of 11 piercing damage on that one.
Nice.
And then again another
You
one.
managed to shoot another one, and another one of these things seems to go limp. There's kind of 3 or 4 of them left at this point. It's hard to tell the massive bodies and where one starts and ends. Kind of, even some of the ones you've cut to pieces seem to be moving independently.
It's a real centipede.
Ew. Right, so that's 25 to hit.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, I
that'll
thought
do
it might. And that is another 7 plus. That's another 11 piercing damage.
Nice, well done. Beauty. Are you going to move at all from where you are? You kind of took a side step, so you...
No, I'm not going to move. How far away am I from a floating glowy eyeball creature thingy?
30 feet.
That's fine.
Yeah. Presumably, have you got 35 movement or 30 movement? I'm not going to...
30.
Good. So yeah, about 30 feet away. You kind of took a side
Of course,
step.
yeah, because I would, yeah. No, I will stay where I am. I realise that the floor is slippery underfoot. I will not attempt to
It's a little slippy.
run around.
Felix, your mauling captors have been blasted 20 feet away from you. Behind you is a large floating toothy eye thing. Over you, my good friend.
He's going to ignore that.
That's probably fine.
Yeah, he's gonna go for these guys who are down on the floor.
Yeah, they're flopping about in the filth. You're gonna run over to them. They're 20 feet away.
Yeah, is that right?
Can you make me a acrobatics or athletics check, please?
I get my D4 on the checks.
It's a save.
Oh, okay.
Great, only.
He's gonna do athletics and a non-natural 20.
You're absolutely fine. As you running in this thing, it's slippy.
Yeah.
It's obviously slippy underfoot. It's
Is
getting
it?
a little bit like
Is it?
Saturday morning kids' TV in the 90s.
Oh.
If only you had some galoshes.
Oh,
Quite gungy.
You're going to roll to hit. 14 plus 7.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. Here's some damage for you. He does 7 plus 4, 11 damage.
Well
One
done.
potato. And then he's going to go again.
You kind of coup de grace in these things at this point.
17 to hit.
That's a hit.
Coup de grace. Coup de grace. 14 damage.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So he's chopping into these things, just mushing them up on the floor.
Yeah.
And then he's going to, just to take a silent moment to himself, he's just going to go, Demric the Brave. And he's just going to pull upon the spirit of Demric the Brave, and he just feels slightly better.
I like that. I like that. Have you got inspiration already?
No, I don't. I used it.
Can you gain inspiration only because you were supposed to have advantage there and I forgot?
Nice. Rolled. No, that's a 1.
70.
Is that a 1 on a D10? It is a 1.
That's a 1. Right.
Yeah, damn it. Plus
It's a
7.
shame we're not playing Call of Cthulhu because then you would have been eaten by a thing.
Plus 7 HP. I was just doing my second wind, so.
Yeah, no worries.
Demric the Brave.
how many of these things are still left on the floor?
That is a very good question. There's probably only 2 of them at this point. They seem significantly reduced in force. They will probably be unlikely to swarm you again.
Yeah.
But they're still alive and kind of flopping around. Again, it's hard to tell because some of them are bits of thing rather than full thing. But you can probably roughly estimate it's 2 humanoids in there.
2 humanoids. And what about this big thing that's behind me?
Large, flowing, ominous.
The big boy.
That's there. He's still there.
He's still there. I think I would obviously pull out the standard issue manual in the pocket of the suit that I'm wearing, and inside it obviously says it's time to be a hero. It's just full of inspirational quotes all the way through, just business
You can't
jargon. Yeah.
When
Time
faced
to be a
with
hero.
giant eyeball,
Yeah.
man up and be a hero.
It says yes, you can
It's
everywhere.
the only
Big
thing you
letters.
can read.
Yeah,
There's
at the moment,
there's
it's the
little
standard issue.
IKEA-style diagrams.
Yeah.
For those
It's
that
the standard issue
A
manual.
little kitten in armour going, you can do this.
Yeah, essentially, I will engage the big thing. It's time to test his powers. If he has powers, he doesn't know what doesn't know what he's capable of. So he's going to turn. He's going to turn and face this.
Yeah, absolutely.
This thing.
Notably, it's floating off the ground.
Excellent.
But not by a huge amount. Probably 10 foot off the ground, so it is kind of floating there. So you'll have to. I'll allow you to attack it in melee.
I'm going to send in with a warhammer, overhead, an overhand chop.
Nice.
26. Oh, it was a natural 20 as well. So.
Wow! Ring a ding ding.
Ding
Well
ding.
done. So you get to roll all of your damage dice twice. As you
Oh,
smash
saying
it.
that's done. Yes, even done it for me. It's given me a blue thing.
You go ahead, my good friend.
It is a wonderful 11 damage.
Nice. Good man.
Damage.
I will. What's it called? Divine Smite. So when I hit it with a melee attack, I can expend a spell slot
Yeah.
to hit him with some Divine Smite. Is this fella undead,
Divine Smite.
or is it a fiend? Because I'll get an extra. I'll get an extra D8 if he's undead or a
do that.
fiend. Right.
Take this,
Depends
you
whether you want to talk
fiend.
about the stat block I'm looking at, or technically in the land of Ashra.
Just gonna roll 3d8. So that's 2,
For mechanical purposes, I'll give it you.
7.
Ashes for nerds.
Oh, 8. Oh, 2, 7. Oh, 7 and 8. That's a big.
Wow.
That is. That's
huge.
alright. That's a 15 damage.
I'll do.
And I get to hit him in the face again. I need to expend a spell slot.
You go ahead, sir.
Actually, saying that, what would we say? So, I also get 2 actions.
Yeah.
At level 6. I can
No, you
perform
you can do
Inspiring Smite after a melee attack.
one action,
Yeah.
but you can do attack twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can
You
attack
have a bonus attack.
with a melee, then I can perform Inspiring Smite. Does that mean I can still attack afterwards? Because
No.
it was.
Because it has to be an attack action.
No, my first was an attack, and this is conjoined with an attack.
So
I don't
normally, when you get nothing after an attack
Yeah,
action, your
that's
attack
classed.
action is your 2 attacks.
Yeah.
And then you get it once.
Ah,
I believe. I'll have to Google that.
that's fine.
But
Because
you're expending a spell slot each time. So
it just
might need
means
to do it
next time
twice.
I'll just do it the other
Is
way
it Divine
around.
Smite?
It's Divine Smite, yeah.
Oh, it's an addition. It's on top of your attack.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah,
when I hit
yeah.
with a melee, I can expend a spell
Yeah,
slot
yeah,
to deal
yeah.
extra damage,
Yeah, yeah.
radiant damage.
Then you crack on.
I was going to hit him again with another chop. I'm not going to hit him with a spell this time. I've expended that slot. We'll save it for now. Looks like that's a 7. It was
not
seven.
quite enough, I'm afraid.
No, that is fine.
So yeah, you can actually smite after every attack.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
as long as you expend the spell slot,
Yeah.
you can keep spamming that thing.
Well, I won't be smiting this time.
Incorrect. Not that time. I think you're probably blown away by how powerful your first one.
Maybe, yeah. Didn't
Yeah, you
surprise.
really can do this.
Schmeichel.
I can.
Schmeichel.
It wasn't just a poster in the office.
It wasn't just the poster in the office. 2 fungoid creatures are going to attempt to stand up, but you are stood over them, which will give you an attack of opportunity. If you haven't already used your action, which you haven't.
I have not. Cool. Let's do an attack of opportunity, and also I've got my additionals. If I hit them, cool. Right. Yeah. It's going to be probably not enough. 12 to hit, but I'm going to expend my inspiration.
Inspiration!
Which is going to make it a 14. Nice.
Yeah, that'll hit.
All of the dice, and I roll them twice. Cool. 7 plus 4, 11 damage.
That will do.
When I hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the creature's speed becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. The creature that provoked the opportunity attack, blah blah blah. Even when they disengage, when a creature within 5, blah 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 blah. It's basically knocked down. No, it's not. Its speed becomes 0. Yes, that's it. It just can't move.
Wonderful. You cleave through one of these kind of fungoid creatures. There seems to only be one left. It's quite bulky and strong, like the specimen that you saw at the old trip. It seems to be a bit larger and kind of longer along. It's the dad. Further along its mycosal growth, should we say? Then we are over to Elantrix. You're up. We've seen this huge smiting action in the room. I should have asked, what does the smite look like from
Well, it's a bit of... It's... I don't really know. I'm trying to think of a business. Come back to me in a moment while I just think of, how...
Synergies!
It would have been some jargon involved.
Smack it with a pie chart.
The first thing, she wants to quickly check, did any of the embryos, the dwarf embryos,
Very
sort
good
of come to life?
shout. Right now they all still seem to be in their tubes.
Because that would be weird. Secondly,
I don't think the internet's ready for that.
no, in that episode. Yeah. Secondly, she wants to cast.
Unless you play the Team of Annihilation, you know what I'm talking about.
She wants to cast message.
Yep.
And she's going to point toward the floating skull.
Yes.
And I wanted to put into perspective, as far as I'm aware, this is probably the most unusual creature that any of us have ever seen.
Yep. That's
Definitely me.
Like,
without a
You're
shadow
all
of a doubt.
unusual.
Elantrix hasn't fought anything that isn't like a human, or maybe like an animal. You know, so this is like mind blowing in terms of what she's looking at, and that isn't lost on her.
Felix hasn't looked at it yet.
Deliberately. So you did go
Fine.
straight up to it to begin with. You were the first person to look at it.
But not outside of the fluid.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
Yeah.
Not now.
All humans look the same.
And you are slightly frightened of these things as well, we've
It's
established.
no good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's going to cast a message, and she's going to point towards this creature.
Yep.
And she's going to say, I understand you have lived for a long time. We don't want to hurt you.
To this central creature.
Yeah.
What language do you use?
Hang on, hasn't Felix already stabbed it?
Wesley
Wesley has.
smited it.
Wesley
Yeah,
was
it was a light
smiting.
smiting, but you know,
A light
I
smiting.
was trying to catch it before that happened, but that
A
happened.
light smiting.
Just because we don't want to doesn't mean we won't.
Actually, just cut some of the fungus off it.
I think she would do it. She knows that it's. Can she make a quick, maybe either. What language did she do the other thing in?
Elvish.
Elvish.
Or at
so
least
she
it's
would speak-
spoken in your mind, so it's hard to tell. But when you use message, you have to choose a language. That's a question we should check. Was it any language it understands?
I'm sure there's a neck beard out there that can tell us.
Yeah, there's somebody out there who can tell us this. Here's the message. No, you can just
Whisper
here's the
a message. It hears the message and can reply in a whisper that only you can hear.
So it doesn't necessarily mean. So I think you'd have to choose a language.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think she would.
If you didn't, it'd specifically state it understands it.
To the best of her knowledge, she would speak
Eyeball.
Elvish because she had success with the other creature.
Yeah.
So,
You don't get a response. You're unsure why.
Yeah.
You don't get a response.
fine.
Apart from the fact that it's now looking straight at you and going.
Yeah, she's not doing anything more.
There is a. As this creature begins to move, it didn't seem to like the fact it's been smashed in the face very well. As you did that, a large chunk of it kind of just fell off. Just landed in this soup below you.
Lovely.
It's gonna reach out this maw. Reach out the maw and try and take a big old bite out of you.
Cool. See what? Let's go for it.
But I'm sure that's going to be fine.
Yeah.
As you smashed into it with that huge critical hit, part of its jaw actually fell away. So as it jumps down to try and bite you, you almost are perfectly aligned with this hole that you've created.
Yes,
And
I can.
It just
This is
gums
what-
you slightly.
But
And that's all you feel.
You rolled a one,
It's
didn't
quite
you?
impressive. Very close. Marvellous. Top of the batting order.
Basically,
we go
instead
to
of biting you, it's just giving you a great big wet sloppy kiss.
Yeah. Big
We
old
get to-
smooch.
Phineas. There's one kind of bulky looking fungal creature over towards Felix, and there's this giant floating thing in the centre of the room.
That's just attempted to take a big bite out of him.
Funny enough, from your perspective, you saw it almost entirely engulf Wesley, and Wesley come out almost completely unscathed.
Where
Powerful.
where is Felix in relation to me?
In relation to you, give me one moment. Trigonometry, baby.
Can I reach him?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yes.
I'm getting into it.
You can.
I'm going to run up to Felix and I'm going to place my hand on his shoulder.
Mhm.
That hand is once again glowing a faint red. And as it touches Felix, he gets a slight jolt go through him, like a small electric shock.
Electric battery.
And I'm casting protection from evil and good.
Ooh. Me like.
So until this spell ends, and I must now, for the first time ever, make
Concentrate.
use.
Yeah, but I'm concentrating.
Oh well, we'll have to put it. We'll have to put it in the middle.
Yeah.
We'll both have to concentrate. Protected against certain types of creatures: aberrations, celestials, elementals, fays, fiends, and undead.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Where was that 10 minutes ago?
creatures of those types have disadvantage on attack rolls against him.
Nice.
Target also can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them.
Beauty.
Cheers, guys. Really appreciate the support.
Really appreciate it.
That lasts for 10 minutes,
Super buffed.
Yeah, I'm like buff on buff.
and that's all I can do.
So
That
all
was
you
my
do,
one
that's
action.
absolutely fine. Over to Felix.
Smash.
Smash it.
16 plus 7 hit.
Regan smash.
Regan smash. Regan sleepy.
He is going to do 11 plus 4 damage, 15 damage to this big chubber. The
Beautiful.
chubber wobber. Does that take it down?
And you carve pieces of it away, to a point where it's just kind of a leg, a bit of a torso connected to an arm.
Nice.
But it is still standing, technically speaking.
Resilient.
Enjoy your carvery. Oh no, I think he's finally. But he, no, I can't do it. Or can I? 3 plus 7. Standby.
Stand by.
You can expend 1 superiority die to add the total damage. You can make a weapon attack where you can expend 1 superiority die to add it to the roll before or after the roll before any effects are applied. He did 10. He's going to use a superiority die.
Nice.
13 to hit.
That's it.
That'll do it.
Lovely. Sometimes it's just worth using them. Right. They are D8s as well, and I rolled a D6. I should have. Awesome. Does 7 plus 4, 11 damage.
Are you going to explain how you kill this thing?
Legs, tummy, and then the head as it comes past him.
Tummy. Nice.
Nice, and then he's going to use
How much
his...
damage did you do, just out of curiosity?
Lots. I can't remember.
It was 11, wasn't it?
Yes.
Nothing happens. Nobody dies.
Nobody dies. Sweet, and then he's going to, again, pat his friend on the side. I feel great. I'm going back in the fight. And then he's going to run 30 feet
Can you
towards
make
this.
me either an athletics or dexterity?
12.
You are fine. You slide a little bit in this
Juice.
gubbins, but you're running straight at this big, large creature in the centre ring.
Yeah.
Marvellous. Well done. You'll notice the embryonic fluids you're floating around in, or embalming liquid, or whatever the hell you haven't quite described it is noticeably thinner in the centre of the room.
Oh, nice.
It seems to have flowed out, and it's so thick it's kind of staying there.
He's not in close yet.
You moved 30 feet, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I'll give him a 360. Hi. I'll give him a 360.
Elantrix, you're up.
I'll give you a few lessons on how it's done.
Crossbow drawn, and she's realised this thing isn't listening to her. And she's taking a shot,
Nice.
which
Give me a
is
wicked best shot.
22 to hit.
That'll do it. I'm feeling 22.
And 3 piercing damage. That is all.
That is all. Marvellous. It disappears somewhere into the mass.
Well,
You gonna do anything else? Noticing this thing is outnumbered, you'll little kind of stalks start peering out of this thing. Some of them have like pale orbs that look like they used to be socketed eyes. Some of them are kind of dismembered slightly or leaking, kind of not quite filled eye sacs. It will.
That was the drummer in my band,
Isaac.
Phil Isaacs.
See.
I was looking at that earlier with Nick Beard. Like a really unfortunate
Nick Beard and Phil Isaacs.
Oh dear.
The rhythm section.
If it sticks up one of these eye stalks, it's going to look at you, Felix, as the one bearing down on it.
Dog. He's a dog, not bear.
Can you make a Constitution saving throw, please, with all your millions of buffs?
Constitution.
Get a +3 as well for being up. And maybe is there something from Elantrix, a +4 as well?
If he wants to, you can choose after he's rolled whether he wants to use it.
So it's going to be 14 plus 3, 17 plus 3, 20. It'll do.
Nice, that's plenty. However, you are still going to take 13 necrotic damage.
Crikey. I don't get anything for my good
Sadly
and evil.
not, because it's not an attack roll.
Cool. Cool.
Again, there's this dark, there's almost absence of light pours out this eye stalk and hits you square in the chest.
Yeah.
It feels like life is being drained from you in some way.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, is exactly what is happening.
Yeah, just quite literally. What is happening?
He looks less happy about that. Don't work not your boy.
And then we have top of the bat in order. Up to yourself, Phineas.
I will take my 2 crossbow shots.
Go ahead, sir. It's a
While
large
the-
floating thing in the centre of the room.
While the crossbow is enchanted, so every time it fires, you get this little sort of flash of dark red. It's like flash.
Like gunpowder.
Yeah,
I love it.
just a little flash of glow, not bright. And the same when the bolts hit, just a little bit of bonus to the special effects budget.
I love it. Stare at the mind, we can have as much special effects as we like.
First attack is a 23 to hit.
That'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it, that one.
And that is 4 plus 1. That's 5 piercing damage.
Nice.
Second attack is 22 to hit.
That will hit.
And that one is 8 plus another 1. Fucking hell. 9 piercing damage.
Unlucky rolls today, mate.
Yeah, not great.
Again, it sinks within this thing. It kind of sags slightly as all these kind of bits are kind of firing off at him. Felix, you're up. You're bearing down this thing. You've just been shot in the chest, which is probably unpleasant.
Yeah, he does not feel so good, but in for a penny, in for a pound. Take this. I rolled a 1. That won't hit.
That will not hit.
Roll higher. 16 plus 7. That'll hit.
Yes, it will.
Take this. Lovely. 8 plus 4, 12 damage, and then he's going to also expend a superiority dice to do a precision, no, a maneuvering attack. There you go. When you hit with a weapon attack, you can expend 1 superiority dice to add the total to the damage roll, and to allow a creature that you can see or hear to use its reaction to move up to half its speed without provoking opportunity attacks from the target of your choice. I'll do the damage first.
Sure.
An extra 1. There we go. So he does, so he does 13 damage.
Oh!
And then is there anyone who wants to move or needs to move? You don't provoke an opportunity. You don't need to disengage, do you? You're right.
No, you can put me around the back if you want. And give him the old.
No, I think we should
Guilt
probably
attack.
stay in close because I get lots of opportunities if it attacks you.
You mean for flanking, then, don't you?
Oh yeah, maybe move you for flanking. But then half your speed's not that far, and it's a large circumference.
12.5 foot.
No,
Probably. Yeah, it's probably too large.
it's fine. That was going to be his.
It's probably 10 foot wide, this thing. It's
Yeah.
huge.
Big boy.
Cheers.
Biggest boy.
Marvellous. In fact, it's probably. No, it's about 10, larger than 10 foot across. It's a big old thing.
Big old ball of
Big
horror.
old ball. Wesley, you are up.
I'll swing a warhammer.
Yeah,
Golf swing 360. Round the jaw.
beauty. It's not got much jaw left.
It's another 20.
Wow, 2 20s on the bounce.
2 20s on the bounce. That's 14 damage.
That will do.
Natural 20 or
That was an extra 20, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to perform any smites, but I'm going to hit him again
Nice.
with another. I've hacked D&D Beyond just so
I love a
increased up
20s all the time.
13 to hit on the second attack.
That's a miss, I'm afraid. Again, you smash into this thing,
Gosh
but
darn
it doesn't seem to do any damage. Bits of its jaw are dropping away at this point. It's obviously fairly. If it had blood, it would be bloodied, but there's actually this black oozing substance that comes
Delicious.
out of it at various times.
It tastes great.
Yeah, looks like the
Tastes
dinners
great.
I got in the office.
It's going to taste great. Elantrix, you are up.
Does Felix look unwell?
He looks terrible. He's struggling to hold his blade.
Okay.
Shaking like a.
You've seen him shake like this
Before,
a
but-
few times before.
Do you have any fear of just using just the world as your facilities?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. He just.
That's the weird thing.
He does
like,
just. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
just
In
a
some
dog.
ways, very,
yeah.
Okay.
very canine.
Is
like.
this just all we do?
She's gonna cast.
Situation.
The world is my toilet.
She's gonna
Oh.
move up to Felix.
Yep.
Because it's a touch action, so just behind you. And sensing Felix's dire predicament, she's going to want to expend one of her 3rd level spell slots to cast Cure Wounds at 3rd level.
Nice.
Whoa.
So you've seen her Cure Wounds once or twice before.
Yeah.
Normally the shield faintly glows and a little gentle aura. This time the shield glows, but it emanates past into her whole body and the whole thing just absorbs into you as this great burst of healing energy. So it's 3d8
I'll
rather
roll
than...
first before you claimed.
Yeah.
Grace healing
3 1s.
energy.
It's 3d8s rather
Yeah.
than 1d8. Plus spell casting, yeah.
Yeah.
So 8,
Nice.
13,
Nice. Nice.
20 plus spell plus 5, 25.
Was
yeah.
it great?
Beauty.
He looks a lot better.
Reforms all your wounds
Yeah.
as they sew themselves back up again.
You ever had a
What was that?
fry up after a really rough night?
Yeah.
Bit
Or I
like
like to call it every more.
that. Bit like that.
How's
Wow.
it?
Yeah,
how's
he
it
looks
look?
considerably better.
So yeah, that but
Glows and
yeah, glows up, envelops her whole body with this pure white, brilliant white light, and then yeah, a considerable increased brightness all suddenly dissipates from her body, completely engulfs Felix momentarily.
He'll remember this. That's a pretty big deal. 25 HP.
It's a pretty big deal.
Quite low on spell slots. But yeah, Lantrix looks physically kind of weak after that.
Seeing you come closer, one of these eye stalks swicks round and looks at you.
Yes, it was me talking to you.
It was you talking.
Don't ignore me.
Can you make a Constitution saving throw, please?
11.
11. This thing hits you, and suddenly it's almost like a mocking version of your own spell. There's this white light that comes out this high. All of your body seems to hurt for a small amount of time. It seems to, each of your joints seem to ache all of a sudden. You are currently paralysed.
Oh.
Which, if you need to know what that means,
I got it.
you got it?
Yeah.
In Sentinel,
Yes.
it specifically says when a creature within 5 foot of you makes an attack, I assume that's an attack action, specifically, right? Like a melee attack.
Yeah.
I don't know, because in mine here,
It is an action.
it does say that I can obviously do the attack action twice, but in this block, attack is guiding bolt, is in this block of attacks. So I would assume that I could use guiding bolt
Did
twice.
the creature use a spell slot to do it, or did it do it as an attack?
But there are some
Did it as an
spells
action.
that I can't. What does it say that attacks per action?
Do-
So I can.
What I'm asking is, do I get a reaction to give it a little
Don't
splish?
think you do. But I'd like to give it you. I'm just quickly finding this out.
You MSN messaged a
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
and he's looking
I'm on
at the
with Wizards of the Coast
forums.
support group.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
We're chatting back and forth. As far as I know, it's not an attack action.
And they've
But-
blown the dust off her tone.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I think you'll find when we originally designed the Beholder.
and then there's like a boardroom. I like the idea that it's just like going through all these different things.
I don't think you do, but I will. I will retcon it and give you glorious bounties if it turns out I'm wrong at a later date.
Sure. No, it's fine.
I'll kill you
What
anyway.
was that roll?
I was
I will garrote you on a
sometimes
10
I just
plus.
I wanted to roll anyway.
Oh, did you?
Theneus, you are up, my good friend.
Okay.
Your concentration will be over, won't it?
Oh yes, that is
Just
true.
one more
Uh,
minute.
Well over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've been
Well,
smashed.
You've been
Yeah, I'm paralysed. So I
Yeah.
can't.
Mine now.
Yeah, but you're thinking about one thing.
Sweet,
Um,
sweet victory.
Oh, I love bacon rashes. That's so good. That's what I'm thinking about.
right, I'm just.
You know what I've discovered is the Malteser cake bar. I would recommend.
I imagine that's a bit much.
I would recommend.
Mm.
Do you like a Mr. Kipling French fancy?
Mm.
That's what Wesley is saying.
You would definitely.
He's shouting it over the goal.
Malteser cake bars.
Do you have Malteser cake bars here?
In Lidl, they got these Easter stuff.
Oh.
It's so good. I got
I
some
don't.
Easter
Where
pasta.
is it? Where
I
is
don't
it?
get the shopping deals
Easter
anymore.
pasta.
Yeah, pasta shapes.
Oh lordy.
They're building an Aldi.
Crosses.
Actually, no religious iconography.
Is it not? Oh, that's a shame.
There's Easter bunnies and
I like-
stuff.
I like
Yeah,
that.
eggs.
Eggs.
Nice.
All different colours.
We're getting an Audi. I'm looking forward to it.
Right, so
Two
first,
angels deliver it to
A Roman going, fuck.
It's hard to make that up, isn't it? That's probably why we'll just go with eggs. We'll just go with eggs. It's easier.
so first off, as a bonus action,
Ooh.
I'm going to curse
What
the
do you say?
eyeball.
Nice.
You bastard.
So as I stare at it, put my hand out, brief flash of my eyes, shout something out. Well, no, it wouldn't be shouted actually. More of a harsh whisper
I love a harsh whisper.
of something unintelligible, and the creature is cursed until the next end of my next turn. For the duration, it has disadvantage on strength and dex checks, and takes 1d8 necrotic damage if it makes more than one attack on its turn.
Nice.
Okay, and then I will. That was a bonus action, so I will then take my 2 shots with my Pyros bow.
You go ahead.
Twang.
I'm going to allow it.
That's a 21 to hit,
I'm going to allow it.
and that is 8 plus. Come on, give me a decent one. Oh, that's a decent one. That's a 6. That's 14 piercing damage for that one. Second attack is 24 to hit, and is 5 plus. Oh, another 6. Excellent. That's 11 piercing damage.
Nice. So 25 in total.
Yes.
Beauty.
Twangy, twangy, twang, twang.
As those things shoot into it, bolts shoot into this thing. One of them just catches the inside of this eyeball. It's taken a lot of damage already. The eyeball, you hear this sickening popping noise.
Oh, good.
As this visceral kind of liquid starts pouring from this eye. You guys are covered in it. It's kind of all kind of floating
Eye goop.
around.
You're all covered in
this
eye goop.
goop. It absolutely stinks as well.
Stinky eye goop.
It's like somebody opening a like 3-week-old fish bin. kind of.
Yeah. That's a kind of
Stink.
fish
Um,
bit.
It's-
Sentinel is valid for spell attacks, by the way, but not spells that require saving throws.
Cool. So it's because it requires a saving throw in this instance.
A la Fireball
Hello, fireball.
would be a spell attack.
Marvelous. Felix, you are up. This thing is falling to bits. That's probably the best way to describe it.
Allow me to help. Oh, a cheeky 19 plus 7 a hit.
That'll do it.
Oh, hello, Joe.
Oh,
9.
Amy sleeps in the crib.
Loosen his braces.
Braces.
And he does 13 damage.
13 damage.
A big one. So what does that look like?
Well done.
Ooh.
For a moment, a brief moment, you think that this thing is just going to keep fighting on.
Yeah.
It seems to kind of pull itself back together again. But can you describe how you...
Well, he's got one attack left.
Yeah.
So
Overkill.
Yeah. So overkill. He's going to finish it by running up the side of its body, stabbing into the eyeball, falling into the goop, and then ripping it apart from the inside.
Beauty. Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Jump to brave.
As you
Go over it.
slash holes in this thing, bits of kind of fungoid and flesh that are matted together start falling away. It kind of slowly becomes a pile of visceral detail. And with that, we will take a very short break.
I need it.
Roughly 8 of your minutes. Enjoy.
some red wine at home that I haven't drunk yet.
Yeah.
I've never tried that. Is that a good combination?
Like the worse the red, the better.
Really?
We just talk about bad red wine and Coke when you're around.
I've never tried that.
That's what I was drinking on the game.
It's a Spanish thing,
right?
Spanish street drink.
Yeah, it's just a Spanish street drink.
Black Velvet.
Is it called Black Velvet?
That's Guinness and cider.
Close enough. Yeah.
It's close enough.
Yeah. Tomato.
It's basically whatever you have in Coke.
Mm. No, that's a Mickey Mouse.
There's a Long Island iced tea. Whatever's in the cupboard plus Coke.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome back.
Hello.
Welcome back. Can Felix and Wesley make me a Constitution saving throw, please?
Con all
Plus
day.
3, baby. 26 for me.
16.
Beautiful. Felix, for a moment there, you retch slightly. You're covered in this eye gunk. You've been bitten multiple times. They're wonderfully healed. But you've been bitten multiple times. You feel almost like a chesty hack start happening.
Yeah.
But you
lovely.
seem to overcome it. Brief hairball, man.
Oh man, I can't tell you like the stress it gives me when you hear the dogs. You only hear the stomach turn, and you're like, there is only a matter of time between. And like it's a roll of the dice because sometimes they just go, yeah, I'm alright.
Oh, yeah.
Or they throw up a pigeon.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's my carpet.
My son is exactly the same.
Yeah, I imagine so.
I have 3 cats. Yeah, in the middle of the night when you hear,
Oh.
and you think, how close is it? Is it right next to my head? Is it on the pillow?
Oh dear.
That's the noise. You did it.
That's the exact noise. You're stood in a room with various smashed glass. There's gunk everywhere. You're all pretty filthy. There's a lot of dismembered fungoid things around you. You correctly identified earlier these tubes with various dwarven embryonic states.
Am I unparalysed now at this point?
In roughly 45 seconds.
Okay,
yes.
fine.
So,
I'm thinking this.
yeah, you can't come to it just yet. They are all pretty much as they were. 3 of the 4 plants, it was the red one that is gone. But 3 of the 4 plants are still there. Other than that, you are back in this room. There is a hatch in the ceiling which is sealed.
I'm going to take 5 minutes to wander around and retrieve as many of my crossbow bolts as I can.
You absolutely can then. You squelch out of various things. You normally recover roughly half of everything you shot. So however many you shot, roughly half. Well done for doing that, by the way. Nobody ever thinks to do that.
Yeah, I gave up on that rule from almost session 2, but I appreciate it.
Yeah. I need a rest.
Mm.
A big old rest. And so does this little lady over here.
I
Give me
would
such great healing.
I would suggest that we take a rest for a while, but there doesn't appear to be anywhere to lie down or sit down in this room that isn't covered with gack.
Yes. We could go downstairs. We just have to be, we'll be looked at by a creepy thing, which I think, to be honest, I'm fine with.
I wouldn't mind seeing if creepy creature in the jar downstairs has had any reaction to what's happened up here. Seeing as he seemed to know everything about what was going on.
But if the jar is broken, you just
If
bring the
the jar's
stairs back
broken,
up again.
I'm just going to shoot it from the top of the stairs.
Yeah. Like cheating any old video game.
Mhm.
You're just like,
Yeah. Chomp, 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 until it's dead.
yeah.
Going downstairs?
It was quite a loud noise from upstairs.
Yeah, but we're gonna die if we go up there. You've
I
got no magic left.
I've got a bit.
You got a little bit.
I could do with a bit of a rejuvenation.
Should we stop for an hour?
Yeah, why not? Let's do a little one.
Going downstairs?
As that happens,
We'll wait here.
the room starts to crackle again with this green light. And the various stone circles that still exist, the glass is now shattered, the stone circles that still exist on the floor of various chambers start to glow, the glyphs start to glow green again. You hear this sound of thunder, and again this almost bestial, visceral shout. It does come from a humanoid. This visceral shout rains out again.
Going off you.
I don't think we have time to stop.
Well, not even the shortest rest possible.
She looks at the glowing glyphs.
Yeah. Okay, let's move.
They
then.
do fade down again, but as they fade down, the light flickers quite almost strobes briefly and then goes out entirely.
Felix's dying words are going to be, I told you we should rest.
Right. Okay, so how can we get? How's the
I think we can just climb
the hatch
body,
in the
right?
ceiling?
Yeah, it's a big old room, so it's roughly it's probably 60 feet in the air. There's a chain dangling.
Does anyone got any pitons?
You have to
Throw you
climb
up.
up the side and then across, but it's kind of dangling in the air.
Dangling 60 feet in the air. The bottom of the
There's a
chain is
and the
60
chain-
feet.
It's a short chain, so arguably
Yeah.
it's 60 feet in the air, but you could probably call it
57.
59. Yeah,
No,
57.
very short.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a nice yacht's length distance.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, as if you
Mm.
put it on its side. And that probably does show you how, I know Thanaeus made this point already, this room is vast, right? It's a vast space. To say that you've looked at this tower from the outside,
Avast.
it does make you fairly uncomfortable.
How dead are you, Felix? How dead is Felix at this point?
I feel very well.
Yeah.
Like everywhere where there's like fur missing, all of the wounds are all healed. I could probably run 10 kilometers, no worries. But what worries me is you. We are out. You look like crap.
Thank you.
Usually you look.
Says the creature that currently looks like a giant walking bogey.
Usually you look fine for a human, but you look like a very tired human.
I did fall through a spike
Yeah.
quite recently.
Yeah.
My
I
leg-
did as well, actually, and your spell has healed me up lovely.
I only have a little magic left. She's gonna clock. Are we stopping or carrying on?
We're gonna go. I think you're right. We should go.
Okay, she's gonna cast Cure Wounds on herself at level 1 for 11. That helps.
How are we going to get up to that chain?
How did the rooms downstairs rotate? Do we go punch a wall? What do we do?
Yeah, we do just poke a wall.
Can we go poke a wall? Can we go poke a wall?
You absolutely can.
Oh no.
Poke. Does the room rotate? Nothing
Sadly
happens.
Sadly not, nothing happens.
Oh,
The
good.
world is strange.
Because what I really wanted was for a room filled with snot and goo to go like that. How are we going to get up there?
What about his disappearing feet? The feet at the edge of the round thing. You saw it.
Yeah. I'm guessing any evidence that I spotted earlier about where the tracks led to has been annihilated by multiple layers of goo
Yeah.
and horribleness.
Yeah, tidal wave of goo kind of
Mm.
got rid of most of that. The room looks, other than all the goo, a lot less. It looks a lot more free of dust.
Nice.
Maybe there's things to clean your
mixed-
keyboard.
Does
Mixed
the goo
blessings.
like dry like snot?
Yeah.
So Felix is all like
It
crinkly.
is hardening.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a hardening
It's
element.
like a 2-part epoxy.
Oh dear. How are we going to get up
You've
there?
been reading my notes. It's an endothermic reaction. It heats slightly and starts to crust.
If
over.
we piled all the bodies in the room up into a triangular shape,
You
how
are
high would they take
welcome
us?
to try it.
I don't want to touch them. We could do an arrow on a rope.
I was just thinking that
Roll
actually.
for it.
I was just thinking that. I've got.
How high is it, did we say?
60.
60.
That's pretty high.
The iron, there is an iron
Thanks,
loop on
Jack.
the end of the chain.
Is there?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
it's iron loop at the end of the chain, just like the others.
With your mage hands? Yeah.
No.
Oh, hang on a tickety boo. I know what I
You're
can do.
Magneto. That's
This
beneficial.
is like that time when you spent ages trying to work out how we get over a fence.
Right,
And then
okay.
or we're falling off of something. And then about 2 hours later, you're like, I had a potion of levitation.
That's exactly right. You fell to your death and then like,
I've got
"Oh,
this-
potion of levitation."
See, I'm not quite sure how this would work.
Okay.
I've got a spell that can cast Unseen Servant.
Yes.
Oh,
It's an invisible, mindless, shapeless, medium force that performs simple
it.
tasks.
Yeah.
It doesn't specifically say that it has to walk around.
Yes.
It's an invisible force. It's not like a. So I could.
does it have a range?
The servant.
It's got a
springs-
60-foot range.
The servant springs into existence in an occupied space on the ground within range.
On the ground within
One
range,
man's
but it doesn't
ground.
say that it has to be. It's restricted to being on the ground.
It doesn't move, I don't think.
AC 10, 1 hit point, strength of 2, can't attack. I can command it to move up to 15 feet and interact with an object.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah, if a commander servant to move a task that would move it more than 60 feet away from you, the spell ends. Yeah, okay. You can
Does
have to
specifically say-
summon it on the ground, but
Does specifically say up as well, too. Up.
Yeah, up to 15 feet and interact with an object. Servant can perform simple tasks. Yabba dabba doo dabba doo.
yeah.
If it causes it to move more than 60 feet away from me, but as long as I stand directly below the thing,
Yeah.
you said it was 60 feet away, so
59.
59 feet. There you go.
The chain.
I will cast that. That's my last spell, though. So I will do that.
The servant can perform simple tasks that a human servant could do.
Yeah.
Travel vertically up,
Doesn't say that in mine.
doesn't it?
Invisible, mindless, shapeless, medium force. You see, it's mindless, shapeless.
You
It's
gotta
not
read between the lines.
simple text, simple tasks at your command until the spell ends.
This one just says the servant can perform simple tasks that a human servant
Oh
can do.
shit! I didn't see
Yeah.
that.
Just folding clothes. Travelling vertically up. Sorry to be a party pooper. I mean, it's DM's decision.
Do you think levitation's a task?
Do you remember when I had an owl? It made life so much easier.
Yeah.
How about we investigate the area? That might help. We'll investigate the.
Sounds like this
Nothing
is
said
where
in
we
the air
die.
of my head.
Right. Okay. And that being the
The key
case,
word here is force. An unseen servant is not in the same class as, say, an incorporeal being under greater invisibility. It's rather a spell-created force that the effect of the caster controls via commands, rather like a simple automation. As the spell-created force effect, it does truly have any movement type.
Yeah.
It doesn't truly have any movement time at all.
Oh.
Rather, it merely has a speed which determines how quickly it moves from one place to another. So it can move vertically.
Oh, wow.
right?
There you go.
Grief.
We have rules lawyered that into position, and I'm going to command this creature.
It takes
So
a long time.
It takes a lot because it normally takes.
15 feet.
Yeah, I can do it 15 feet at a time. So
Yeah.
you might want to.
You lot see nothing.
You
All
might
this
want to,
happens.
What's he doing?
Pooping.
Eyes glowing, veins are popping. You know, it's
He doesn't look
there, there's effort involved in this for me. It's not just like casting spells. It does look like it's
It's
causing me
passing-
effort.
Passing spells.
Yeah.
Passing
Yeah.
spells. Through which passage? The
So
urethra.
So while I'm doing this, I saw I can open this.
Spell stones.
I can open this. Give me a few minutes.
That's really the bit making the T-Rex point of me is really. It's quite threatening.
Well, I can do it that way, really. Yeah. Give me a minute, and I can get that over.
Cool.
Probably wouldn't take that long because it's an action each turn, so it's seconds, about half a minute.
Give me half a minute,
Okay.
and then there's a brief red glow around the loop of metal on the end of the chain, and it gets yanked.
It falls open. And
I'm
as
directly underneath it, though.
Bees.
so many bees. Anvil drops the.
With Acme.
The
written
final
on it.
trap is the best. But as you, the classic traps, that's what you need. Anvil on the top of a trapdoor,
Yeah.
that'll do it. But as you open it, there's a series of kind of clacking as a ladder clacks out. It goes the whole length. The 60-foot ladder comes clacking out one piece at a time in kind of 5-foot segments.
As it
Clacks
drops
all the
down,
way.
I will just step to the side and it
Yeah.
comes down. And I'll
And it clacks all the way down to the bottom. It's fairly well made. It has little joints that hold it together, all in brass, and it goes all the way up to the ceiling.
No, thank you.
And a man in fine clothes rides it down as he reads his pocket watch.
Hello.
Who's going up first? You're fine.
It's alright, I'll go up first. I've got my crossbow. I'll go up first.
Felix will follow.
Landrix will be last.
Piggy in the middle.
Piggy in the middle. So Lantrix is last. Are you using exactly the turn order you previously used?
Oh, that's quite
which is
good.
quite good.
That's handy.
I will
What do you mean turn order? Why do you care about turn order?
I
No
will
particular reason.
proceed cautiously up the ladder. And when I reach the top,
Yeah.
before I stick my head through and have it shot off, the crossbow goes through first.
So the hand comes off.
Yeah, the hand comes off. I'd rather lose my hand than my head, to be honest.
You enter the top floor of this room. It's dark in here.
It's dark in here.
You're not sure how dark at first.
Hey,
You're not
Matt,
sure
it's
pitchy.
dark in here.
Not sure if it's.
What's going on?
You're not sure what's going on. Let me have a quick look. Cool. But you enter the top of this room. You come through the floor in a small hatch, and it's not a very large room. You're kind of looking 30 foot from one side to another. It's circular.
At least
again.
it's a normal dimensions for a room.
It seems normal dimension, yeah. There are what look like almost portholes is not quite the right way to describe it, but open brickwork to the outside world around it.
Is it actually
arched.
the outside world?
It would seem so. It's raining heavily outside. It looks like the night sky. And you can hear the rain kind of throwing itself down. Interestingly, the top of this room isn't flat. It's cone-shaped. It goes up into a cone. And you can actually see, you're kind of like relieved in a way that you see rafters. You know, you see kind of like
Something normal for
some
a
kind of
change.
normal architecture built in here. And the rafters look, compared to the walls and the floor, relatively new in that they're made out of some kind of deep, dark wood. There's brass kind of holding them together. There is some kind of coil-like contraption that comes out the centre of the cone, but it only comes down by about 10 foot. The floors and walls, other than these stone articles that open portals to the outside world, if you like, the rest of the stone is similar to the rest of the stone you've seen in this tower. It's kind of this rough-hewn dark stone, and it's very old kind of stonework. The floor is carpeted with a red kind of rich carpet, which again looks like a new edition or a newer edition. You don't know how new. A couple of other things are going to strike your attention pretty
A
rapidly.
couple of other things are going to strike you. A
Yeah, a
hammer.
couple of things. A couple of things is that you always describe everything and then a thing falls on you. It's not quite that bad. So I'm going to describe it before people come up because it might change your minds. I don't know. The first thing that's going to grab your attention is in the centre of this room. There is what can only be described as a stone altar. Right? It's made out of the same rough-hewed stone as the rest of this tower, and it has these kind of scratched markings all on the outside. Laid upon it is what could only be described as a corpse, an old corpse. Putrefied is probably the best way to describe it. The hair kind of looks longer than it should be, the nails look longer than they should be, they're in death clothes. They're laying on top of the stone altar. Over the top of this altar, there is a vaguely humanoid shape. There's an elven face peering out that looks quite, almost in some cases, beautiful. If they weren't completely covered in fungoid blisters, boils, and creations. The face.
When you say over, this is standing over, looking down upon.
Standing over. However, from their back, they seem to have exploded into this fungoid shape. So much so that it reaches the outer walls, and they seem completely connected. In fact, the whole third of the room is the elongated shape of the structure. You can only see one hand reaching over this corpse. To the right-hand side of that, this one thing that you can immediately determine what it is, and it looks like an anvil. Okay.
I'm glad that didn't drop down through the hatch.
Genuinely true, there is an anvil up here. It looks like a mixture of stone and brass. It's like nothing else you've seen in the tower so far. It looks like a mixture of stone and brass, and it has some kind of writing along the outside that doesn't match any of the writing you've seen that's in brass. It's very ornate, incredibly ornate, and it looks very well made. Attached to the top of it, coming out of the top of it, is a large brass staff, which has a series of lenses, so a very large glass lens that's roughly 5 foot across, and then a series of other lenses that are next to it that get smaller and smaller. It's roughly 10 as they kind of move. The reason it's hard to count them is they're free floating above this staff, and they seem to free float in a cone-like shape, and they're all pointing towards this altar.
As I climb up into the room, first up, I'm going to shout down, "You're going to love this, Atlantrix. I think we found the Lord of the Manor."
I'm not going to take a short rest up here.
No.
So you're all kind of coming up, presumably? Nobody's just waiting on the ladder.
At least there's some fresh air up here.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. You can smell the rain. You can smell some other things. But a lot of rain.
Sorry.
Oh,
It's late at night.
Trumps.
You still smell like my grandmother's attic.
I hope not.
Smells like your grandmother's cooking.
Hey!
Hey. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
You hear rumbling thunder in the distance.
Of course we do, yes. At least it's in the distance.
Can't get that up quickly enough.
So, creepy, weird person attached to tower.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy boy. Well, we've taken him out. We've taken everybody else out.
I think maybe we should talk to him.
I will investigate the corpse on the slab.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not going to get too close.
How? In what way? What are you looking for? You're looking to try and determine who they are? You're
Yes.
Looking, yeah.
I'm
cool.
going to try and figure out, based on what I've heard of the Lord of the Manor, I'm going to try and discern if it is him.
The corpse itself that's laying on the altar.
If it is immediately apparent that it's not the one on the altar, then I will peruse the one standing above.
Yeah.
My investigation is to discover whether or not this is his lordship.
Cool. Okay. So you're looking at kind of everything then, and just kind of doing a vague investigation. Go ahead. If people can back him up, if they
Bosh.
say you wish, if you want to back him up, you can either roll advantage or you can roll different rolls.
That's
You can do-
21.
21 will do it. The individual, whoever they may be, lying on the altar, has been there has been dead an incredibly long time. Incredibly long time isn't quite right. Incredibly long for a human being to behold a corpse. It's been dead a long time.
Desiccated.
Yeah, it's past really being able to recognise who they are or what it is. The individual who is part of this fungoid shape that's kind of stuck to the side of the tower, you can see their face almost perfectly. It's the only part of their body that doesn't seem blistered or scarred in any way. They are elven. From the bits of their hair that you can see, it's a mixture of light blonde and brassy. There's very little light, but as the flashes of thunder appear in the sky, which do appear to be a vague green colour, you see almost like a feathered effect around the hair. It is incredibly likely that that individual was, however you describe it, Duke Renthar.
Well then.
She considers drawing and then thinks better of him.
This is more your department. Just, I don't really know what to do.
Is there any sign of life from the Duke?
It's funny you should say that. There is incredibly loud noise. All of your hair kind of flicks slightly as you just get this sudden sense and kind of taste of pennies in your mouth. And everything glows green briefly. There's an incredibly loud noise of lightning striking something close by. You have this coil that's been built into the ceiling, reverberates with green light, that shoots down into this altar. On top of that, what you see is this anvil-like structure that have these lenses growing upon it. Almost magnifies the light. So the light from the altar seems to jump to the lenses and then back again and reverberate. Sadly, the almost skeletal corpse in the altar does nothing. There's kind of no movement.
I'm quite glad about that, to be honest with you. If
However,
you got up and said hello, I'd have been extremely perturbed.
However, the structure that you see behind this fungal structure moves slightly, and you hear this horrible wail as this individual screams out. Just hear the
Nope.
the light fades. It returns much the same as it was before.
Would you?
Felix, cut his head off.
I'm very tempted. very, very tempted. Or at least smash the lenses. See what happens then. But what do we think before we approach this thing? Do we think this is someone trapped, or in a repeating cycle, or this is someone who's got their foot down the drain? You know, this is is this someone we can free, or
Do we want to?
do we want? This is what I'm saying.
Bearing in mind that thing down the stairs said that if we kill the Duke,
Yeah.
he will be free. So we've got to assume that the Duke is not dead.
No,
Screaming notwithstanding.
Well, that's a good sign. We should probably help him out then, maybe.
Elantrix is very likely transfixed on the lens thing.
Yeah.
And
It seems to be two parts. There's the anvil itself, and then this brass staff that comes out the top. The lenses are floating just above the brass staff. The staff and the lenses seem to be a completely different build, if you like. They're made by a different artisan than whoever made the anvil. You can see that just by looking at it. The two look different.
And she's probably trying to discern anything she could from either of those.
We smash it?
You can make me whatever roll
History,
you want
probably.
in order to figure out. If you want to figure out history, you can figure out if these things have been recorded previously, if you've heard of them before.
20.
20, nice. The anvil immediately will be obvious to you. This is a dwarven anvil. It's quite clear what that is. Of any, as you've kind of discerned before, knowledge of the dwarves is very hard to come by. Most people even believe they're a myth. They're kind of mixture of collected children's stories and things that people pass down. You don't know much about them. But you can read dwarven, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can read the writing that is on this anvil.
Acme.
You can read the writing that's on this anvil. It's a ring around the anvil in almost like a brassy colour. And it basically...
It's Hallmark.
It's Hallmark. In a way, yes. You're not
Around the
entirely
anvil.
incorrect. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... six
Many.
groups of letters And the word actually says Barandur Kunkadan, which, if you were to translate it, it's some kind of very old form of Dwarvish, so it's quite hard. It takes you kind of a bit of time thinking. But it actually means Anvil Kingdom. And actually it's not to do with the anvil itself, it's a place that you will have heard of. It was
It's where you buy your anvils. Come
to
to Anvil Kingdom.
It is a place somewhere off to the kind of the east of where the Elven Kingdom would be. It's it's a rumour, it's kind of a made-up place. Even the fact that in Elvish it translates to Anvil Kingdom makes it sound almost silly and childlike. But that is what it translates to. The craftsmanship is exquisite. It's likely priceless. If anyone believed that it was a real Dwarven artifact, it would likely have no real discernible value because nobody would be able to figure out how much this thing's worth. However, also looking at it, it doesn't look like it was for smashing metal on. It looks like it had another purpose, but you're not entirely sure what.
She'll relay some of that to the group.
It's also worth saying it's large, so it's kind of 5 foot across. It's a big old thing. It's not something you're going to be able to hoik down with a great.
Just push it to the edge of the trapdoor and see how much damage it does on the way down.
How many floors again?
So we could set up the trap for the squid in the box when he comes upstairs.
Could be our way out of here.
The other object, you're not really sure what that is. From a history point of view, it's not. You've never heard anything of like this before. It's a different craftsmanship. It's probably Elvish, but you're not sure.
With my knowledge of alchemists' stuff, with that.
You give me an Arcana check.
Arcana check.
That's not called that anymore, is it? Is that what you're giggling at?
No, it's called Arcana.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
He's a 12.
12.
We're giggling at the what's it in the concentration camp.
He looks like he's got a big cigar.
A 12. Certainly magic. You would
No
guess that
shit,
because
Sherlock.
It's floating in midair. From an alchemy point of view, you can add your proficiency to that if you do an alchemy check. What should make it?
Proficiency is plus
15?
3.
Yeah, 15.
So yeah, it makes 15.
From what you've experienced so far, this thing it's using the anvil as some kind of conduit, and it's focusing in power. Is what it's doing. What power and from where, you've no idea, but it's being used to focus in power.
I think it might be a good idea if we separated these elements out.
I didn't like the dark force downstairs. That thing was clearly evil. But this is like a very specific piece of magic instrumentation. Okay? There's things that our Elandrix here can do, which are very impressive. The augury, she can ask the world questions. How useful would this piece of equipment be if we could focus her energy tenfold, 1,000-fold, 10,000-fold with these lenses?
You think that's what it does?
Yeah, I'm guessing. I'm having a little guess, but I don't want to smash it before we.
I'm not thinking
it.
about smashing it. I'm thinking, but separate the elements out. Because at the moment, every time that there's a bolt of lightning, it's either torturing or empowering him.
What does he
Either way,
Yeah.
we want it to stop.
What does he look like without any lightning bolt? Does he just look dead or still?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be still. His face is still, his eyes are shut, his arms are out reaching over this body. It seems very much, the best way to describe it is almost encrusted in this fungal growth that's spraying out.
I don't know whether he wants to be like this.
Why didn't you go and ask him?
Excuse me, sir.
Or if this is a form of self-torture or a form of otherwise inflicted torture, or this is his way of, I don't know. but I think we need to stop it from happening.
Or it happening is the only thing stopping him. No, we need to think of best thing.
Well, yeah, this is the thing, isn't it?
What do you think? You ever seen anything like this before?
No, I'm trying to decide how we choose to kill somebody or not kill somebody.
Oh yeah,
I've arrived and we've killed a couple of people and not killed a couple of people. I'm trying to categorise what constitutes to killing them or not killing them. That's where I'm at the
I've
moment.
never used the K word
No.
in the whole time I've known you. We have defended ourselves from bushes and trees that wanted to kill us, and from weird fungusy people that also wanted to kill us.
This guy's a tree fungusy guy, but we're not killing him. I'm confused. What we do?
We're easy with the K word. We don't do that. We defend ourselves against evil.
Okay, so do we defend ourselves against evil by taking his head off? Or by depowering this device?
I do not know.
Hello. Elandris tries to communicate with him.
Hello.
No immediate response.
Well, that didn't work.
No, you tried. That was fine. You
I'm
tried.
out of ideas.
Are any of the fungal sproutings and foliage are they behind him, away in the room, or are they coming towards us? Are they?
It's almost as if it's exploded out from this altar, so it's almost like it's moved outwards. It's obviously been struck by this thing.
We're facing the altar. He's facing the other way, so everything's basically splaying away
I
from.
wonder if he got the lenses backwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
He's trying to put all energy into the body, and
Is it big to small or small to
Yeah.
big? Pointing towards the altar.
It's big to small, point towards the altar.
I think he did.
Noticeably, when he's shocked by this thing, it does reverberate around him. He's obviously involved in it in some way.
See, this is the thing. When he did this, if this is something that he's set up to empower himself, is this what he intended to happen?
No,
or is
I
this-
don't think this is.
is
We
this
know,
an
we know,
accident?
we know what this is. We heard the story of the lady who died, and he wants to bring her back from the dead, and this is clearly her. She's not as attractive as perhaps she once was, but you know, he's trying to imbue her with energy, and it's gone wrong. It's not a long stretch.
No, but
You're cleverer than you look, Felix.
I just piece things together. Three seasons from now, Detective Felix.
spin-off.
A strange occurrence appears. If this wasn't strange enough.
Something strange. How unusual.
To the left-hand side, well, it would be his left-hand side, the right side of his head. A small spectral bell appears and rings, and then it stops.
Right up your street.
No, that's bad. That means there's someone downstairs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's really bad.
And with that, we're going to end for the night. Thank you very much for stopping by. It's been wonderful to spend some time with you. I hope you enjoyed our general bric-a-brac and chatting about red wine and coke. But keep that recipe. We don't charge for that. That's all for
It's
you.
a Brucey bonus.
But yeah, thank you very much for stopping by. And until next time, we have been.
And that's a wrap.
Hello, boys. Pink lemonade?
More